Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. We got a great show for you here today. The Cleveland Guardians versus the Seattle Mariners. Now, obviously, last night on opening night didn't go our way, but we're ready for payback and a little bit of redemption. Should be a fantastic game here on a global broadcast on Apple TV. So if you don't have Apple TV, no worries. You're going to get a great broadcast here. And again, we got about 4 or 5 minutes before we get into first pitch. Should be somewhere between 6:40 and 6:45, depending on when they start the slate on Apple TV. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Friday, everyone. On the left, one of the best third basemen in the game, Jose Ramirez. And on the right, the best center fielder in the league, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Cleveland Guardians. Leading off for the Guardians in center field, Steven Kwan. Batting second, playing right field, Chase DeLauder. Batting third, playing third base for Cleveland, Jose Ramirez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, DHing today for the Guardians, Kyle Manzardo. Batting fifth, catching today for Cleveland, Bo Naylor. Batting sixth, playing first base, Rhys Hoskins. Batting seventh, playing left field, C.J. Kapus. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, Gabriel Arias. And batting ninth, playing second base for the Guardians, Brian Rocchio. And on the mound for the Guardians, Gavin Williams. And now let's get into the starting lineup for Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at third base, welcome to Seattle. You made an imprint on the fans with that 3-1 count in the bottom of the first, and you went yard. We love you, Brendan Donovan. Batting second, catching today for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field for Seattle, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting sixth, playing right field, Luke Raley. Batting seventh, DHing for the Mariners, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. What a stud. 2 homers last night, but it just wasn't enough by some of the others. Can't wait to see what Dom does here tonight. Batting eighth, playing second base, Cole Young. And batting ninth, playing shortstop for the Mariners, Leo Rivas. And on the mound for the Mariners, it is Furious George Kirby. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And just like we did on the season opener, the entire season is dedicated to this man. 50-year anniversary for the team this season. We started in 1977, 1 year before the Seahawks in 1976, and we know how that worked out for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. We want to dedicate the season to Rick Riz, one of the best on the radio and overall one of the best sports broadcasters. Again, 40-plus years with the Mariners. We couldn't get the dub for you last night, but we're going to get a little bit of redemption for you here Friday evening. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Looks like we're about to get settled in. Dank in the building. What's good? Marvin in the building. What's good? Marine Bean in the building. What's good? Hawks in the building. What's good? I think every time we play the Guardians, it's a great game. It's always pretty close. Every once in a while, in a 4 or 5 game set, there's going to be a blowout. But traditionally, the games usually are pretty competitive. And it was a little heartbreaking. Let's be honest. If you're a Mariner fan, you really wanted to be able to get that victory on opening night. We actually have one of the best records on opening night in the entire MLB. We're one of the top 3 teams, record-wise, percentage-wise. But again, it shows you it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And again, we didn't get enough out of our key positions, as well as at the end of the lineup. We had 5 guys that didn't end up getting a hit for us last night. Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. Now, we did end up getting some amazing performances by Brandon Donovan, tried ends up, Luke Raley, tried ends up, and Dominic Canzone, the Italian stallion, going yard twice. But again, we need to have everyone involved. I thought that Logan Gilbert did a pretty good job. Jose Ferrer did a good job as well, but everything kind of, hit the fan once Gabe Spire came in. And like I mentioned, I've been watching him in spring training. I've been watching him in the World Baseball Classic, and he hasn't really been good, lately. He gets 1 out and then gives up a bomb. 2 games later in the WBC, he gets 1 out, gives up a bomb. Goes to spring training after the WBC, gets 1 out, gives up a bomb. And what happened, obviously, when he came in? Everything hit the fan. And again, we don't have a whole lot of trust in Casey Legumina. Carlos Vargas is injured, so we're not going to have to worry about that debacle till potentially later. But I have a little hope that maybe Vargas could end up being a guy that could be a little bit better, from last season when he was probably the worst guy in the pen. But we're not going to have access to Vargas for a little bit. So injuries are starting to hit the Mariners early in the season, but every team usually has a couple. Obviously with J.P. Crawford, Miles Mastrobuoni, obviously Bryce Miller as a starting pitcher. Emerson Hancock will fill in for about a month. And now with Carlos Vargas in the pen. But again, more times than not last season, Vargas would blow saves and give up big runs, home runs, and RBIs. But hopefully, we can find some good pace with George Kirby, get some really good outs early on, maybe a few double plays, and hopefully the bats will stay hot. But again, we're wearing the City Connects. And since I wore mine yesterday, I didn't want to wear the same jersey 2 nights in a row. But again, as you can see with the starting lineup, we got a lot of the City Connect jerseys in the player photos tonight. And again, we definitely need to get a victory to go to 1-1. Global broadcast on Apple TV Plus. And again, not ideal for a lot of people, when you're doing Mariners TV or, you're having to spend money and then you find out the second game of the year is on Apple TV Plus. And then I believe on Sunday, it's going to be on Peacock. And a lot of people that had Peacock because of WWE, then they moved off that platform. A lot of people canceled, but no worry. I got you. And again, it is a little bit because the Mariners were so good last year. So the MLB wants to showcase, one of the top 5 teams in the MLB. And unfortunately, there are going to be times where not everyone is going to have access to, different types of platforms that they are going to be, provided on. But I'm here. I will be able to do every single game throughout the year except for, 1. And it's going to be something that we will get everything taken care of as soon as possible. Let me get everything situated here. And I think we are just about ready to go. George Kirby on the mound and leading off for the Guardians, center fielder today, Stephen Kwan. City Connects look fire here tonight. 23 starts for George Kirby. He was injured for the first couple months of the season, finished with a 10-8 record. And again, I don't really have a whole lot of issues with the starting pitching. It definitely is going to be the bullpen. That's going to be the position group that's going to win you or lose you more games than any other position group in baseball, not just the Mariners, but every team, all 30 in the MLB. You can start strong and put up 5, 6, 7, 8 runs, but just as everyone knows as a hardcore baseball fan, things can things can hit the fan and shit can collapse really quick. And again, you have one bad pitcher in a half inning, and that 6-7 run lead could be evaporated and erased. So we want to make sure that hopefully, we get a little bit better of a performance in the pen, and hopefully the guys that ended up not producing last night will also be able to get going here early. And we also want the guys that dominated, Dominic Canzone, Luke Rayleigh, as well as Brandon Donovan, to continue their hot streak. In the spring training, I kind of felt like Donovan as well as Dominic Canzone were both going to break out, and they obviously certainly have in game one, but we need hits, RBIs, home runs from Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. We cannot have 5 guys out of 9 not producing a hit against a team that potentially could be a playoff matchup in the Cleveland Guardians. So let's get it going. Everyone, stay positive. It's, not ideal to start the season 0-1, but I definitely believe in this team. And Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Appreciate that, Tyler. Scott in the building. What's good? First pitch from Kirby to Stephen Kwan, high and away. Sinker, 97 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And they did interview Cal Raleigh after the game on that outside pitch that should have been challenged. And it's something that the players are still trying to figure out. And he obviously, knew the mistake, and it definitely cost us. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Kwan. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early with nobody on and no outs. And we got a global broadcast on Apple TV. 1-1 pitch, a little slow dribbler to Brendan Donovan at third, throw to Naylor. And that is 1 away. Good defense there by the Mariners. Henry in the building. What's good? Next up, who had a fantastic game, just like Dominic Canzone, right fielder Chase DeLauder. And if you look at everyone that started off the season, he actually had one of the top 5 performances with Dominic Canzone. Both hit 2 home runs, for their respective teams last night. And I'm very intrigued to see how we pitch to DeLauder here tonight. First pitch by Kirby to DeLauder, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And I know they ended up watching some of that tape, based on last night. And, you're going to have to start to kind of jam guys inside and go high and away or low and away. You don't want to really go down the middle to DeLauder. 1-0 pitch, DeLauder going back, off the top of the wall. And it is gone. Unbelievable. DeLauder. And again, I was hoping that Luke Rayleigh was going to be able to go up there and get it done. And look at that. I praised DeLauder again, and he hits a homer right there in the front row. Rayleigh went up and tried to get it 360 feet, so it wasn't a big bomb. But Chase DeLauder keeping the hot streak alive. 3 home runs in the first 2 games. Unbelievable. 1-0 Guardians, bringing the electricity for Cleveland here early. And again, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a war, and we got to do our job when we go to at-bat. Next up in the 3-hole, one of the best third basemen in this generation, Jose Ramirez. And again, I had a feeling, that Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, no matter who it is, we're going to get Brian Wu in the 3 spot. And then you got obviously Emerson Hancock and Luis Castillo. Guys are going to give up, early home runs. But the thing is, can you settle down after giving up the home run? And hopefully it ends up being a solo dinger, not a 2-run or 3-run blast. And then again, if you give up the early home run, you got to settle in. We know Kirby doesn't walk too many guys. First pitch, high and away, takes a strike looking, 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away, takes a strike looking with the 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Ramirez. But again, with DeLauder going yard, that doesn't mean that Dominic Canzone can't do the same thing on the opposite side for Seattle. 0-2 pitch, hard hit ball. Wow, what a defensive play. Throw to first off the bounce and got him. Wow, that might be a web gem there for Cole Young. Incredible defensive gem there. Wow, unbelievable. That definitely was one of the better defensive plays that we've seen so far early in the season. Full extension there for Cole Young, and even off a 1 bounce to Naylor, he's got great awareness. Great job there. Next up is Kyle Manzardo. First pitch to Manzardo, knuckle curve, 83 miles an hour there by George Kirby, and he's going to start to implement that pitch a little bit more this season. 0-1 count. 1-0 Guardians with a Chase DeLauder solo dinger in the front row. 0-1 pitch, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by George Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike to Kyle Manzardo. Showtime in the building. What's good? So here we go. If we try to be civil here, but again, that one is fouled out of play. Two pitch from Kirby, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Manzardo. Three-two pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Manzardo. But again, pitching staffs are going to struggle, early on in the season. Not everyone is going to be on their game. And again, giving up a home run sucks. At least it wasn't a 2-run blast or a 3-run bomb. And we definitely have enough bats in our lineup to be able to get it done. And Rayleigh tried. He got up and got a little bit of the mitt on it, but it just wasn't enough. And you got to give DeLauder a lot of love. And now let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next here for the Seattle Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, third baseman went yard on a 3-1 count in the bottom of the first yesterday. Welcome to Seattle, Brendan Donovan. Maybe we can get a solo dinger from him again. Batting second, the big dumper, catcher Cal Raleigh. And batting third, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Judah in the building. What's good? First pitch from Gavin Williams to Brendan Donovan, high and away with a cutter, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Let's go, Donovan. 1-0 pitch. High and inside with a little bit of a check swing there. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Donovan. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Guardians with a Chase DeLauder solo dinger. That's 3 in the first 2 games. He had 2 last night, and the hot streak continues. 1-1 pitch, inside with a 4-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to Brendan Donovan. And I didn't mean to be able to have Showtime end up, getting some of the comments removed and whatnot. So I was looking for him to see if I could get that, turned over. We were only supposed to get rid of Henry, but hopefully I'll be able to figure that out after the broadcast, so Showtime will be able to come back. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Cleveland. Pitches low and at the knees. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Count now is full from Gavin Williams to Brendan Donovan. Williams on the mound, Brendan Donovan in the box. 3-2 pitch, fouled off, right down the middle with a cutter, 93 miles an hour. Count still remains full, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. 3-2 pitch, high and away. Great eye there by Donovan, and that is a walk. Donovan makes his way to first. Next up, it's the best catcher in the game, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. On deck is Julio Rodriguez. You can always see, everyone's true character, regardless if you're a fan of the other team when you're going into someone else's stream. If you're not going to keep it civil, you're going to get the boot. First pitch to big dumper, big swing and a miss, low and away. Curveball, 83 miles an hour by Gavin Williams, 0-1 count. Global broadcast here on Apple TV. And again, we do have a matchup on Peacock on Sunday as well. So not ideal for everyone who doesn't have all these apps, but don't worry, I do. So, no worries. We'll be able to get it done here. Pitch is fouled out of play. Cutter, 94 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams. No balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Yeah, I think Julio will, be able to get a hit tonight, maybe even 2. Cal, Julio, Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas didn't get a hit yesterday. So pretty good chance that some of those guys will be able to turn it around here today. 0-2 pitch, low and away with a curveball, 84 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, Scott. Judah in the building, what's good? Topsy in the building, what's good? Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Guardians with a Chase DeLauder solo dinger right off Luke Raley's glove in the front row. Hard hit ball towards first base by Cal. Curveball, 84 miles an hour by Gavin Williams, and that is out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Brendan Donovan with a walk. And it would be great if Cal could go yard or somehow get on base and Julio goes yard. We have definitely enough capable bodies to get it done. We know baseball is extremely hard. Even if you end up being one of the best in your position, guys struggle. It's like Aaron Judge going 0 for 5 in the first game, but obviously hitting a big home run today. So sometimes you got to give a guy a few games to kind of get into a rhythm. 1-2 pitch, high and inside with a 4-seam fastball, 99 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and no outs. Let's go, Cal. Two pitch, inside, right there on the line. 4-seam fastball, 99 miles an hour, and that could be something that you potentially could challenge. But it looked a little bit inside and a good frame job there by the catcher, Bo Naylor. 3-2 pitch. Cal pops it up, and it goes behind the plate and out of play. Count still remains full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Donovan, and no outs. Donovan was walked. And again, we had a Chase DeLauder solo dinger in the top of the first inning. And again, DeLauder ended up hitting 2 yesterday for Cleveland, just like Dominic Ganzone did, the Italian Stallion for Seattle. Three-two pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes the big dumper. Still trying to find his rhythm. Again, was a little bit off in the WBC. And again, it may take him a little time to be able to get going, but I still have faith. It's okay, big dumper. Next up in the 3-hole, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. We need you today. I had the Cal jersey on yesterday. I got Julio on today. And again, didn't want to wear the same jersey two days in a row. Even though they are repping the City Connects here tonight. First pitch is low and away with a sweeper, 90 miles an hour by Gavin Williams, 1-0 count. Gavin Williams on the mound. Julio Rodriguez in the box. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-0 pitch, high and away, throw to second. And got him, damn it. Brendan Donovan getting caught at second base. Brutal. Great throw there by Bo Naylor. And that is 2 away. Not ideal there. Donovan had a decent jump, but that was just a hell of a throw there by Bo Naylor, right on the money. Perfect throw. Just not enough of a big jump there by Donovan. But at least on the flip side, Julio ended up taking a ball on that last pitch. 2-0 count to Julio Rodriguez. Be patient, Julio. 2-0 pitch, high and away, four-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour. 3 balls and no strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Take the walk, Julio, if it's there. 3-0 pitch. Good patience by Julio. 4-pitch walk. And if that was last year, that probably would have turned into a cheap out, a pop-up or a ground out. So good discipline by Julio Rodriguez. He gets to first, and hopefully he won't get thrown out if he tries to steal a bag. Next up, in the cleanup spot, 4-hole, first baseman Josh Naylor. Let's go, baby. First pitch to Naylor, hard hit ball right up the middle. Should be a force out at second, and that is out number 3. That is the end of the first inning. Guardians up 1-0. Let's see who's up next for Cleveland in the top of the second. Next up for the Guardians in the 5-hole, catcher Bo Naylor. Batting second in the 6-hole, first baseman Rhys Hoskins. And batting third in the 7-hole, left fielder C.J. Kafus. On the mound for the Mariners is George Kirby. And almost an identical start, with Logan Gilbert last night, both giving up early home runs, but hopefully this will be the only home run that he gave up to Chase DeLauder. We know he had 2 last night, just like the Italian Stallion Dominic Canzone. But again, we're going to need a few of our guys to step up. Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas did not produce a hit last night, but we did get a solo dinger here by Brendan Donovan. A unexpected home run by Luke Raley, and then we ended up getting 2 by the Italian Stallion Dominic Canzone. But again, Gabe Spire in the bullpen pretty much lost that game for us. Randy's laziness in left field wasn't ideal either. But again, it's a long season, and again, we're going to have to be able to get going fast and early, and hopefully we'll be able to get this game tied up here in the bottom of the second inning. Top of the second inning, Naylor, Hoskins, Kafus, and Kirby on the mound. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And I apologize if you were in the stream last night that I had to step away a few times in the 7th, 8th, and 9th because my pup was sick. Still a little bit under the weather, maybe with a little bit of a stomach bug, but it feels like she's, kind of getting to the end of it, which is great. And hopefully there won't be any interruption on the stream tonight. But if there is, obviously the pup is family, and that's obviously going to come first. But I'll be very quick about it if that ends up being the case. Top of the second inning, 1-0 Cleveland. .195 average, 14 homers, and 47 ribbies for Bo Naylor last season. First pitch from Kirby to Naylor, high and inside, four-seam fastball, 91 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Top of the second inning, 1-0 Cleveland with a Chase DeLauder solo dinger in the front row, right off Luke Raley's glove. Unfortunate, but it happens. 1-0 pitch, and a pop-up into shallow right field. Luke Raley is there. There we go, Luke. And that is 1 away. And again, I know some people are surprised that Luke Raley ended up getting the starting job over Victor Robles. And again, we know sometimes Luke can be a liability in right field, not as much as Randy Arozarena, but it kind of makes you wonder, if we had Victor Robles playing right field, does he end up getting those big catches, in the front row and robbing DeLauder yesterday and today? Quite possibly. First pitch from Kirby to Rhys Hoskins. Takes a strike looking right down the middle, 0-1 count. It's just how it goes, exclusive. When you end up turning into a good team, these networks, end up wanting to showcase, some of these teams. And, we had Root Sports, obviously, for many, many years, but now it's on Mariners TV. And obviously this is an Apple TV exclusive. And on Sunday, they're going to have a Peacock exclusive. So not ideal unless you have all those apps, but, I'll be able to, take care of everything here. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rhys Hoskins. But we don't have a lot of games on Peacock or Apple TV, just a couple this season, so. 1-2 pitch from Kirby. Big swing and a miss, and a nice punch out there by George. And that is 2 away. Way to bring that electricity, George Kirby. I love you. Next up, in the 7-hole, left fielder C.J. Kafus. Kirby on the mound, Kafus in the box. Top of the 2nd inning, 1-0 Guardians. First pitch, fouled out of play towards left field, 0-1 count. Dank, I agree. I think on the jersey, it's cool, but I think on the hat, it's unnecessary. 100% agree. But again, sometimes, with sponsors, like the Nintendo patch and certain things, sometimes it's out of the fans' control, with sponsors and whatnot. But obviously they have, an idea of what they want to represent. And obviously it is the 50th anniversary, so they are going to try to, push that merch for this season, just like they did for the Seahawks last season, and it turned into a Super Bowl victory for them. So maybe it'll be a good luck charm for us here this season. 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees, four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour by Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes to C.J. Kafus. Yeah, Dank, you know what it's about. It's always about the money. 1-2 pitch, high and away. Slider 86 miles an hour there by Kirby. 2 balls and 2 strikes to C.J. Kafus. But I will, say this. I'm not really too thrilled that we got an Apple TV Plus game and then 2 days later a Peacock game, especially with all those people that spent the money on the Mariners TV package, $99.99 a month or $20 a month. But if you do the $20 a month package, you get a week for free. But still, if you don't have Apple TV Plus or Peacock, a little annoying, but again, that's why I'm here, to be able to kind of, give you that, little bit of cover, so that way if you can't afford or don't want to pay for those, you'll be able to have here to be able to watch. Little hard hit ball up the middle by Kafus. Throw to first. Nice throw. And that is out number 3. Good defense by the Mariners early. And C.J. Kafus grounds out to the shortstop, throw to first. And a nice attempt there with the leg drag there by Josh Naylor. Now let's go to the bottom of the 2nd inning and tie this game up or take the lead. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Trident's up. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And we always will be dedicating every game for the entire season to Rick Riz. Win it for Rick. Win it for the Rizzler. Next up for the Mariners here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, in the 5-hole, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second in the 6-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third, DHing in the 7-hole, could possibly be the best DH we've had since Edgar Martinez, the Italian stallion Dominic Canzone. And on the mound for the Guardians, their stud, Gavin Williams. And if you're just tuning into the broadcast, Chase DeLauder ended up homering in the top of the 1st inning to right center in the front row. Just went off Luke Raley's glove, 360 feet. But again, give him credit. 3 home runs in the first 2 games, 2 yesterday, 1 today. And again, when you can get hot early in a season, it definitely sets the tone, obviously not only for him and his individual stats, but also for the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, and for me, I love, the TV broadcast, but again, I'm also an individual, that grew up listening to some radio as well, so whether it be, watching Dave Niehaus do his thing on TV or Riz on the radio, and Riz is good enough, that he could be the guy on TV every day. There's no doubt about that, but there's always something about Riz and the, kind of calm confidence, a great cadence, very intelligent, and it's great that we actually have someone as talented as Riz on the radio. 40 plus years with the team. This is the 50th anniversary of the team overall. We started in 1977, Seahawks in 1976. They had their 50th anniversary last year. They won the Super Bowl, and hopefully the Mariners will be able to go to the World Series against the Dodgers, and we can do the same damn thing. First pitch from Gavin Williams to Randy Arozarena. High and away. Good eye by Randy. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Yeah, I like Goldie a lot too. I thought he was better than Sims. I know some people didn't like Sims as much. Pitches inside with a sweeper, 87 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes to Randy Arozarena, but he had New York ties, so obviously went back home to New York. But if I had to choose between Sims or Goldie, it's definitely Goldie, and he's got a great voice, and hopefully we'll be able to keep him for a very long time, even though he does have St. Louis roots, and if he ends up leaving us at one point or another, that's where he would go. But I'm pretty confident he'll be with us for quite some time. 3-0 pitch from Williams to Randy, and that is high and away, and a 4-pitch walk to Randy Arozarena. When's the last time you've seen Julio and Randy, take 4 pitches? And, it's pretty rare, but again, we know Randy is a liability in left field, but good job there by not being overly aggressive and swinging at garbage. Next up, in the 6th hole, right fielder, it is Luke Raley. Let's see if Luke can get us a nuke. We're going to need it. No, they haven't said who's going to be taking over for Riz just yet. But anybody that steps into that role will not be as good as him. I think that's pretty fair to say. First pitch from Williams to Raley. Hard hit ball into center field. Back. Wow, what a catch. And Randy's got to be able to run all the way back to first base and just gets there back in time. And it looks like Raley's timing is definitely back. Last season, the timing was off. He already hit a home run yesterday. And obviously, if you didn't have great defense there by the Guardians, that would have turned into a double by Luke Raley. Flies out to center, and that is 1 away. And luckily, Randy got back to first. But CJ Kafis, as we see in this photo, he's known for defense, and he does it again there against Luke Raley. Next up, in the 7 hole, DHing for Seattle, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. And again, in spring training, I predicted that, Brandon Donovan and Dominic Canzone would be the guys that would have breakout seasons. And so far in game 1, they proved that point. But again, we still need our studs, Raleigh, Rodriguez, Naylor to do their job. But we also need to be able to get good production at the bottom of the order with Cole Young and Leo Rivas. Colt Emerson ended up hitting a home run, obviously in AAA for the Tacoma Rainiers. And he's got 3 home runs in like 7 games in AAA going back to last year. Don't be surprised if they call up Colt Emerson sooner than later. I think we're going to need him faster than people think. First pitch to Dominic Canzone, high and away with a curveball, 82 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch from Gavin Williams, low and inside at the knees. 4-seam fastball gets away from Gavin, 97 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes with a runner at first, Arozarena, and we have 1 out. Bottom of the 2nd inning, 1-0 Cleveland. 2-0 pitch, popped up, and this should be a routine play here into shallow right field for Cleveland. And that is 2 away. Rocchio making the defensive play there for Cleveland. Next up for the Mariners in the 8-hole, second baseman Cole Young. Cole was fantastic in spring training. Struggled a little bit, obviously, in game number 1 in the season opener, and hopefully he'll be able to get that bat going. And I honestly feel that certain guys, pair up and play better together. JP Crawford, Leo Rivas, if they play together, if that ends up being the case, one at short, one at second. And I think Cole Young and Colt Emerson, they vibe off each other as well. So once we get Colt and Cole together, I think we'll definitely see a spark in Cole's performance as well. First pitch from Williams to Young, takes a strike looking low and away. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour by Gavin Williams, 0-1 count. Throw to first to keep Randy honest. Reese Hoskins with the tag, and he is safe. I agree, Puppet. I do think Dom will have his best year statistically, and I would not be shocked if Dom ends up hitting, 25 to, 30 home runs this season. It's very possible. He already has 2, in game number 1. I mean, who knows? Maybe Dom overachieves and ends up hitting close to 40. It could happen. I know that's kind of a crazy thing to say, for a guy that really hasn't done that before, but, I feel that Donovan and Dominic Canzone are going to be great this season. That pitch fouled off there by Cole Young. 0-2 pitch. Popped up behind the plate. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Bottom of the second, 1-0 Cleveland. Drew in the building. What's good? Yeah, I think that they should have had Colt start the season, but they want to make it a moment on social media so they can, have the video of him calling his parents and getting emotional and all of that. Pitches low and at the knees. But again, Ryan Bliss made the team over him, and I think that was a huge mistake. Even if Colt doesn't play in the first few games, I think having him, on the roster would have been better. Bliss is just not good enough, to be on the team if I'm really being honest. He's a AAA player. He's too small. He can't really hit. A nice guy to root for, but obviously Colt is a billion times better. And that is strike 3 looking on Cole Young, and that is out number 3. End of the second inning, 1-0 Guardians. Well, Dom didn't play in the WBC. He played very, very rarely. When they ended up playing, in that bracket at the very, very end, against, Venezuela, he didn't play in a lot of the WBC, but that's kind of crazy to think that, one of the best players on Team Italy, didn't even really play. We had Miles Mastroboni on the team. He didn't play really at all. And then he ended up getting hurt and coming back to the team and then going to, obviously injured, the injured list and whatnot. But kind of crazy that Team Italy didn't recognize that the Italian Stallion could have helped, them potentially get a little bit further in the WBC, but they didn't really use him. I watched almost every Team Italy game, and, he wasn't a starter. He was a reserve, and he rarely got playing time. End of the second inning, 1-0 Guardians. Let's go to the top of the third inning and see who's up next for Cleveland. But obviously the manager of Team Italy doesn't recognize, how good Dominic Canzone truly could be. Their loss, our gain. Next up in the 8-hole, shortstop Gabriel Arias. Batting second in the 9-hole, second baseman Brian Rocchio. And batting third, back at the top of the order, 0 for 1, center fielder Stephen Kwan. And on the mound for the Mariners, George Kirby. And if you're just tuning in to the broadcast in the top of the first inning, Kirby to DeLauder, and he homers to right center in the front row, just barely getting the home run. Went off Luke Graley's tip of the glove, 1-0 Cleveland, and that's where we sit right now. 1 run, 1 hit by Chase DeLauder. He had 2 home runs yesterday like Dominic Canzone, and he gets his 3rd today, and that gives Cleveland the early 1-0 lead. Yeah, I assume, Drew, that we're going to see him, at some point, maybe May or June, but hopefully April. Just like you said, I would love for him to be, on the roster. Yeah, and I agree, with Team Italy, no one expected them to go that far, and again, it's always nice, when you have tournaments like that and you end up having a few surprises. Everyone knew that Japan and Team USA and Venezuela and Dominican Republic were going to be dominant, but nobody had Team Italy, on their card for being that good and going that deep. First pitch from Kirby to Arias takes a strike looking high and away with a sinker, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss by Gabriel Arias. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by George Kirby. No balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Arias. And again, if you give up a home run early, just make sure that's the only one you give up. And that's what happened with Logan Gilbert yesterday. And hopefully George will be able to do the same thing. We know that both guys don't really walk a whole lot of guys either. And hopefully that'll stay true this season for us as well. Top of the third inning, 1-0 Cleveland. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And Arias goes down on a big swing and a miss strikeout. I like that. Nice job by George Kirby, bringing a little bit of electricity there. Nice job. Next up is Brian Rocchio, and that is 3 Ks for Kirby now, 2 for Gavin Williams. And I will always try to provide as much specifics, on every pitch, every at-bat, location, speed, any type of facts or other things that are going on, batting average, home runs. So it's a mouthful. It takes a lot of grind and a lot of work, but I feel that you guys deserve to be able to have a broadcast that gives you above and beyond. First pitch from Kirby to Rocchio, fouls it off, behind the plate, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. High and away, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by George Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike to Brian Rocchio. Kirby on the mound and Brian Rocchio in the box. 1-1 pitch, fouled off towards first base, knuckle curve, 83 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kirby to Rocchio. One-two pitch. And Rocchio into center field. What a defensive play. Julio Rodriguez getting the job done there in center field. And that is 2 away. Great job, Julio. I see you, my man. Next up is Steven Kwan. First pitch to Kwan, high and inside, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour by George Kirby. 2 balls and no strikes to Steven Kwan. I appreciate the compliment, Puppet. I don't really have an interest to do anything on TV or radio, even though I know I could. But again, this is my dream, here to be able to establish myself on YouTube. But I appreciate the kind words. There's a lot of people that try to do baseball, but we definitely do it a little bit differently here. And again, to be able to squeeze in the HD 4K photos on top of the broadcast and having to be able to produce the show on the fly definitely is challenging. But it is worth it. 2-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 3 balls and 1 strike to Steven Kwan. 3-1 pitch from Kirby to Kwan. Pops it up towards left field and goes out of play. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by George Kirby. Count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Guardians. 3-2 pitch, popped up, shallow left field, and that comes into a base knock. And obviously, anytime you have a ground ball that goes into Randy's area, everyone kind of holds their breath, but at least he semi-hustled to that play. Nice job there by Steven Kwan. Next up, 1-for-1 with a run and an RBI. He has 3 home runs in the first 2 games. Right fielder Chase DeLauder. Cannot give up another home run to DeLauder here. You can't pitch him down the middle. And I think that is something that Logan, as well as George, already knew going into this game. You have to pitch him inside or outside. If you go down the middle, he will bury you. First pitch is high and away, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 1-0 count. But if DeLauder ends up getting his 2nd home run in this game, I assume it won't be against Kirby. It would be against someone in our bullpen. And obviously we know what happened with Gabe Spire, Casey Legomina, and a few of those others. I thought Gilbert did well, Jose Ferrer did well, but then everyone after that was terrible. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to DeLauder. I mean, even though Munoz got in there, Munoz isn't terrible, but you know what I mean. Obviously the game kind of got away from us once Gabe Spire came in, and definitely not trustworthy. 1-1 pitch, tries to jam him inside. That's exactly what you want to do there. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, high and tight inside, and it goes behind the plate to the T-Mobile bricks. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Stephen Kwan, and 2 outs. Top of the third inning, 1-0 Guardians. Pitch right down the middle. And a rare strikeout on DeLauder. I like that, baby. And that is out number 3. Go to the bottom of the third inning and see who's up next for the Seattle Mariners. And let's look at the numbers for George Kirby so far, which we like to do once we get about 3-4 innings in. 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run. That home run by DeLauder early in the game. No walks. We know George Kirby doesn't walk anybody. And he's got 4 Ks, 44 pitches, 29 strikes, ERA of 3. And then on the flip side, Gavin Williams, 2 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 33 pitches, 15 strikes, and his ERA obviously at 0. Next up for the Mariners in the 9-hole, shortstop, filling in for J.P. Crawford for the time being, Leo Rivas. Batting second, 0 for 0 with a walk. Third baseman who homered on a 3-1 count in the bottom of the first yesterday, Brendan Donovan. Absolutely love his game. Offense, defense, he can do it all. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And, after watching Cal struggle a little bit in the WBC, and I know they like to be able to put some of the best players, in the 2-hole and the 3-hole, not so much in the 4-hole or the 5-hole. And the reason that they do that is that in the end of the game, you can get that 5th at-bat. If you end up batting 4th or 5th, sometimes you only get 4 at-bats. So that's why you have Cal and Julio batting in the 2 and the 3-hole. But if it's me, after what I saw yesterday, I would flip-flop Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. I think Cal Raleigh would do better in the 3-hole. So I would go Donovan in the 1, Julio in the 2, then Cal Raleigh, then Naylor, Randy, and then, Rayleigh, Canzone, Cole Young, Rivas, everything else I think is good there. But I think there's just too much pressure for Cal to be hitting second, and for him to go down 1 spot in the order, I think would benefit not only Cal Raleigh, but I think it would also benefit Julio Rodriguez, so he can set up Cal Raleigh for those home runs instead of Cal having the pressure, with Donovan batting first and then the pressure to try to come up with the big play batting second. That's my kind of perspective on it, and I hope that the Mariners are listening, and hopefully we see that flip-flop in that exchange, and we have Cal move to 3 and Julio in the 2, and I think that would make a huge difference in our lineup. And I know it kind of seems minuscule, and it's like, oh, that's not a big detail, but sometimes it is when you can move a guy, a spot over, and it definitely, brings a different type of vibe to the team. First pitch from Gavin Williams to Leo Rivas, high and inside, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike, looking high and away, cutter, 92 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. One pitch, high and away, sinker, 96 miles an hour, 2 balls and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. Two-one pitch, high and inside, 3 balls and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. Three-one pitch, takes a strike looking, high and in the zone with a cutter, 91 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. Count now is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Leo Rivas. Williams on the mound, Rivas in the box. Three-two pitch, and gets a little bit of a foul tip on that as it kind of scatters there towards third base. Cutter, 94 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. Count still is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes from Gavin Williams to Leo Rivas. Three-two pitch, Rivas, hard hit ball in a deep right field. Oh! Go, baby, go. He drops the ball in right field. Go, Leo, go. Go, Leo, go. Go for 3. Big triple by Leo Rivas. And again, Leo was one of those guys that got shut out yesterday with Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. And that almost ended up being an amazing barehanded grab there by the Guardians in right field. And thankfully, that ended up dropping, and we were able to get the job done there. And that was Chase DeLauder who ended up almost making that spectacular play, but I'll take it. Brendan Donovan pops up on the first pitch. And that is 2 away. Work the count, Brendan. Leadoff triple by Rivas. Donovan should have worked the count. Normally he does. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And again, Cal also needs to adjust his swing. Can't be a moonshot on every at-bat. Just trying to get an RBI, a single swing instead of like a home run swing every time could really help him gain his confidence as we move forward in the season. There's a lot of pressure, being a guy that, was in the MVP race with 60 home runs. He's not going to hit 60 this year, but he could still hit 40 to 55. But he needs to be able to start getting some singles and doubles before we start really talking about home runs on the regular. First pitch is low and away. Curveball, 84 miles an hour by Gavin Williams, 1-0 count. Jamie in the building. What's good? Yeah, I think a lot of us, we miss Gino, we miss Polo, a little bit. But again, Gino went back to his original team, the Reds, and Polo wanted to be closer to his dad in New York, so he went to the Mets. So, but again, I think Brendan Donovan will, be able to give us, what Polo, gave us early in the season as well as later. And then obviously we can always pick up a Gino type at the, the deadline. And again, we're going to definitely be buyers at the deadline, and we'll add a few nice pieces like we did with Gino at the, deadline last season. 1-1 pitch, low and away with a curveball, 84 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Two-one pitch. Big swing and a miss, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Yeah, they're doing a Randy Johnson celebration this season. We've had some of the greatest players to, put on baseball cleats, going from, Randy Johnson to Ken Griffey Jr. to Edgar Martinez to Ichiro, Julio and Cal now, as well as a few others. So, we definitely don't lack, Hall of Fame talent. It's just about being able to put together a complete team. And that is a hard hit ball towards first base and foul. Count still remains 2 balls and 2 strikes to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Yeah, again, Donovan and Naylor is better than Gino and Polo. So, again, sometimes you're not able to keep everyone that you appreciated or loved from the previous season. But, I think it's, better with what we have now than what we had last year. But, with that being said, Polo gave us some magical moments last season, especially in the ALDS Game 5 against the Tigers. Gino, we were kind of hoping for a little bit more in the ALCS. But again, baseball is hard. 2-2 pitch to big dumper from Gavin Williams. Big swing and a miss, and big dumper's timing is a little off here in the first couple games of the season, and that is 2 away. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 0 with a base on ball, Julio Rodriguez. Come on, J-Rod. We need you. First pitch to Julio, high and inside, 1-0 count. But again, if Cal ends up, going, 0 for 4 for multiple games, they need to make that flip for him to bat third, not second. And I think Julio is better suited at 2, and Cal is better suited at 3. Big swing and a miss on a sweeper, low and away, 88 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Gavin Williams on the mound, Julio Rodriguez, tridents up in the box. Big swing and a miss, low and away. Sweeper, 89 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. And a hard hit ball there by Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, you wouldn't want to have Dank. You wouldn't want to have Naylor batting third and then Cal fourth, because then that would mean that, down at the end of games, that possibly Cal would only get 4 at-bats, but if you bat 1, 2, or 3, you probably could get 5. So that would be the reason. Who would you rather have up late in the game, Naylor or Cal? And I know Cal's struggling right now. Big swing and a miss by Julio, and that is out number 3. End of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Guardians. Now, we know Naylor can steal bags, and every once in a while he'll get some hits, and, he hits home runs occasionally, but once Cal gets going, you definitely want to be able to have, Donovan, Cal and Julio as the first 3 guys in the lineup, unless, at some point, Naylor ends up being hotter than Cal Raleigh and ends up hitting more home runs than Cal this season. I don't see that happening, but, that's the kind of the reason why the shift, going from being the cleanup hitter and having the best hitters in the game being in the 4 and the 5 hole from back in the day have flipped. And now you get most of the best hitters in the game typically batting first, second, or third, kind of just depending on your roster and how it sits. So, and that's just based on, watching baseball and what Seattle's been able to do. Let's go to the top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Guardians. All right, we're at 50 likes with almost 200 in the room. We need 50 to go. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Let's see how many subs we've acquired so far. And it looks like we only need, how many have we gained? 5 so far. We needed 33 to get to 23,500. And now we only need 28. So shout out to the 5 new subs and the 50 plus subs that we've gained from yesterday and today. Appreciate you guys very much. Next up for the Guardians, 0 for 1, third baseman Jose Ramirez. Batting second, DHing in the 4 hole, Kyle Manzardo. And batting third, catcher in the 5 hole, Bo Naylor. Yeah, when Bobo ended up getting the initial offer to the Jags, and then, I figured Seattle would match. And there was a reason why, Kenneth Walker III wasn't able to re-sign, because they wanted to give JSN the money, which makes sense. If you have to choose one or the other, you're going to be able to find another running back, maybe not as good as Kenneth Walker III immediately, but at some point there should be another, pretty good athletic body, and hopefully Charbonnet will heal from his injury. 1-0 pitch, knuckle curve, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Jose Ramirez. Top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Guardians. 2-0 pitch. Takes a strike looking down the middle. Slider, 85 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. 1-0 Guardians with the lead here in the top of the 4th. 2-1 pitch. Hard hit ball towards first base. Good defense there by Cole Young. Throw to Naylor, and that is 1 away. Nice job by Cole Young. Yeah, I got some Ken Griffey Jr. jerseys. I got Julio on now. My City Connect is Cal. So I got a few. I don't got a crazy amount, but, a decent amount. Next up, 0 for 1 with a K, DHing Kyle Manzardo. On deck is Bo Naylor. And on the mound for the Mariners still is Furious George Kirby. And Kirby has been good after giving up the solo dinger to DeLauder early, just like Logan Gilbert did. But again, we need the bats to come alive. First pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees by Manzardo. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, hard hit ball, laser into right field. And that's a great souvenir for that fan out there. Got to keep your head on a swivel, especially if you're in sections 119 and 121. That's right behind the Mariners dugout. And there's quite a few foul balls that go in that area. I would know. 0-2 pitch, low and away, change up 87 miles an hour by George Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Kirby on the mound, Manzardo in the box. It looks like he got a little foul tip on that knuckle curve. 83 miles an hour there by George Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kyle Manzardo. Those are good ones. Griffey, Julio, and King Felix. That's a great trio. One-two pitch. And that one is fouled behind the plate. Count still remains 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kyle Manzardo. Oh, that's cool. It's like when you go to the ballpark and you see those people that got the big dumper jersey, sewn in the back instead of just Raleigh. Pitches low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Manzardo. Top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Cleveland. Come on, George. Two-two pitch from Kirby. Big swing and a miss, and another punch out there by George. Nice job by George Kirby. That's 5 Ks for Kirby, 4 for Gavin Williams. Next up for the Guardians, in the 5-hole, catcher Bo Naylor. First pitch fouled off. Knuckle curve, 83 miles an hour there by George Kirby. 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch, little slow dribbler towards first. Cole Young is there. Throw to Naylor. And that is out number 3. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning and let's tie this game up or take the lead. Tridents up. Let's go Mariners. Next up for the Mariners in the 4-hole, first baseman, it's Nails. 0 for 1, Josh Naylor. Let's go, Josh. Batting second, 0 for 0 with a base on ball, left fielder Randy Arozarena. And batting third, 0 for 1 in the 6-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. Now let's see if Luke can make up for missing that home run ball by DeLauder early in the game, and maybe Luke will be able to get his second home run of the season here at this at-bat. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And let's look at the stat line here quickly for both pitchers. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks. Great job, George. 5 Ks, 57 pitches, 38 strikes, 2.25 ERA. Gavin Williams, 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks, 53 pitches, 29 strikes, ERA of 0. Let's go, Mariners. We got to get going for Rick Riz. Let's do it, baby. Do it for Dave Niehaus, do it for Rick Riz, and do it for the fans. One run, 2 hits, no errors for Cleveland. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for Seattle. And so far, it's been a pitching duel. Top of the 1st inning, Chase DeLauder homered to right center, just over Luke Raley's glove in the front row, 360 feet. And that's where we sit right now, 1-0 Cleveland. And DeLauder has got 3 home runs in the first 2 games. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. You know, these games against Cleveland are always competitive. It's never going to be easy playing a team like this. You know, the same thing goes when we play the Yankees or the Blue Jays or the Astros or the Rangers. You know, it's always a fucking war. First pitch there to Naylor. A little foul tip, grounds it. Naylor is there and throws out Josh, and that is one away. Naylor throwing out a Naylor, and that is one away. Next up in the 5-hole, left fielder Randy Arozarena. And we've seen a few hitters be patient in the box, you know, and force 4-pitch, 5-pitch walks. And we've also seen a few guys trying to be a little bit aggressive in the first 2 pitches, but really haven't been able to connect just yet. And again, we're already about halfway through the matchup. We need to get going. Yeah, I typically go to 1 or 2 a year. And obviously, you know, since I am kind of the voice of the Seattle Mariners on YouTube, and I've been, you know, for quite a few years now, I'm only going to go to 1. So I'm going to go to the game against the Blue Jays on the 4th of July. You know, I like to go to games where they give away a bauble or like a hat. You know, and again, the hat that I'm wearing was a giveaway from 2 years ago against the Orioles, where me and my best friend Justin went. We went last year against the Pirates, hoping to see Skeens, but we missed them by a day. And we're going to see the Blue Jays for the very first time together this year. 2-0 pitch, high and inside, sinker, 97 miles an hour. 3 balls and no strikes to Randy Arozarena. Take the walk, Randy. Don't be swinging at garbage. Get on base, and then maybe you will steal a bag and get us in scoring position. 3-0 pitch, low and away, and that's another walk by Randy. I like that. Nice job, Randy. 2 walks for Randy so far, and hopefully he doesn't get thrown out like Donovan did when he was trying to steal second earlier in the matchup. Good job, Randy. You're still a liability defensively, but in the box, we got 2 walks so far. Next up, right fielder in the 6-hole, Luke Raley. This would be a great opportunity if Luke can get one right down the middle and we go up 2-1. First pitch, big swing and a miss with the curveball, 83 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Awesome. Yeah, my birthday is just a few weeks after yours. And my best friend's is at the end of April as well. So that's usually, you know, we usually try to go to a game around that time, you know, but he's going to be going with his dad because I told him, spend some quality time with your dad, you know, and I know he's going to go see the Astros for 2 games in the early part of this season. And then usually the 4th of July, you know, is a good bonding time for me and my best friend to go. And it's always great vibes on the 4th of July. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 Guardians. Arozarena with a walk, and he is safe at first with 1 out. Gavin Williams on the mound. Luke Raley in the box. One pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-2 pitch. Low and away. Curveball, 82 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 4th, 1-0 Cleveland. Gavin Williams on the mound. Luke Raley in the box. Let's go, Luke. An ABS challenge. Guardians challenge. And they lose the challenge. It is a ball. Call confirmed. Global broadcast here on Apple TV. And then we got a Mariners game with Brian Wu on Mariners TV tomorrow. And on Sunday, I believe it's on Peacock as the exclusive. Throw to first again. And the Boo Birds are coming out in Seattle. They've thrown to first, it feels like 1 billion times already in these first 4 innings. Two pitch, and that ends up being fouled off behind the plate. Yeah, typically, for the 4th of July, they don't do fireworks typically on that day because usually the game is on at like 1. So it gets over by 4. So it gives time to people to get settled in after. They usually do it, a day before or a couple days before, and then usually maybe a couple days after. But sometimes they'll even sprinkle in like a firework day early in the season, like in May or June. But it would be nice to be able to catch some fireworks on the 4th, but they won't have any, obviously, this season. And they typically don't. Throw to second, and Randy is safe. Rayleigh strikes out swinging, but at least Randy ends up being safe at second base. Nice job by Randy. We finally get a runner in scoring position. Next up, 0 for 1, the Italian Stallion. 2 homers yesterday. Let's see if he can get us a 2-1 lead here or a 1-1 tie. Dominic Canzone. Somebody go get that espresso machine. First pitch to Dom. High and away, 1-0 count. Now, obviously, if they would have made the game at like 7 p.m. on the 4th of July, then yeah, they would do fireworks after then. But, I think they want to be able to get people home early enough where if you want to do a fireworks show, at your house or you're going to go somewhere, you'll still have enough time, after the game is over. So first pitch is outside to Dominic Canzone, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, low and away, curveball, 83 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams. 2 balls and no strikes to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. 2-0 pitch, high and away. Could have been called a strike. It was right on the line, 91 miles an hour. 3 balls and no strikes to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. Take the walk if it's there. 3-0 pitch, low and at the knees, and great job. Nice patience by Dominic Canzone, and that is a walk. Big opportunity now here in the bottom of the 4th inning as we have the manager coming out to speak with Gavin Williams. Second baseman in the 8-hole, Cole Young. This would be a great opportunity for a 3-run blast or even an RBI. Cole Young in the box. Leo Rivas on deck. And we will see, obviously they're not going to pull Gavin Williams here. He's been electric, but obviously they're having a mound visit, trying to be able to figure out how they want to pitch to Cole Young. Was absolutely electric in spring training. Struggled a little bit yesterday. He didn't get a hit, but again, 5 guys out of 9 didn't get hits yesterday. And that's part of a reason why we lost, besides Gabe Spire and a few guys in the pen that weren't very good. Right? Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas went hitless. But again, I think that will change here today. Yeah, I love going to bobblehead days. Those are my favorite. And then, going to, get like a hat if they end up making a quality one. And the last 2 years, they've given away pretty good hats. And then this year, they're doing a bucket hat. And hopefully it ends up being, somewhat decent. I did like the Sailors hat that they did, but I wasn't able to go to that game. First pitch from Gavin Williams to Cole Young. Fouls that one off right down the middle. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Best leadoff hitter for Mariners? Oh, by far Ichiro. No question about that. But I feel that Brendan Donovan could possibly be the second best leadoff hitter we've had since then. And that's really saying something. No disrespect to D. Gordon or J.P. Crawford or, Victor Robles or Randy Arosarena, but those guys, weren't good enough. And Donovan, gives you home run power. He's patient on defense and in the box. And on top of that, he can get singles, doubles, and triples. So, I think we found really the perfect fit for the Seattle Mariners, just like Josh Naylor is the perfect fit at first. We have the perfect fit with Donovan at third, but he can also play second and short if needed. Hard hit ball by Cole Young. Back. See ya! Let's go, baby. 3-run blast. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. And again, it was absolutely electric. That mound visit didn't matter. And again, I love it. Nice job there by Cole Young. And again, karma ends up being a bitch, right? So when you end up saying something like this, and then we end up hitting a home run 5 seconds later, appreciate you. 3-1 Mariners. Karma, the sports gods always find a way, to be able to make someone pay. If someone's just going to be a hater and talk shit, sports gods obviously have great timing. 3-run blast by Cole Young, and I love it. 0-1 pitch, and Rivas pops it up. Should be a routine play here for the Guardians, and that is out number 3. And again, we finally get on the board. And again, we want to be able to get those guys that went hitless yesterday, Cal, Julio, Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. And again, Cole Young was absolutely fantastic in spring training, just like Colt Emerson. And Cole Young now making up for yesterday, big 3-run blast. And now we have the Uncle Mo. We have the momentum that we were looking for. Nice job there by Cole Young. What a stud. Gained 5 subs since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. Appreciate the haters as well. 23 subs to 23,500. Let's get it, baby. Big 3-run blast there by Cole Young. And sometimes you just got to be patient with this team, as everyone knows. All right, we're at 62 likes, 38 to get to a hundo. Let's go, baby. Well, Miguel, Vargas is still on the team. He definitely has potential. He can hit 97 to 100 miles an hour, but what does he do? He's wild, right? But again, Gabe Spire, unreliable, right? Casey Legomina, unreliable. And again, I think Bizzardo is the one in the pen, obviously the guy that you trust the most. Then Matt Brash. And then after that, who will be number 3? I don't think it's going to be Gabe Spire. It could end up being maybe Jose Ferrer. And then I'm hoping that Carlos Vargas can make that jump and he can end up, being better than Gabe Spire, or at least on the Spire level when Spire is good. And again, all he needs to do, instead of just trying to throw his arm off, on every pitch, he has no location. But if he ends up kind of dialing it back and pitching like 90, off-speed pitches here and there, that could end up taking his game, instead of being the worst guy, in the pen, to a guy that could actually be somewhat trustworthy. But he ends up going to the injured list, this morning, so we're not going to see Vargas for a little bit. Vapor with a tenner, appreciate you. We're at 10, 90 to go to hit the Dono goal. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rhys Hoskins. Yeah, but I actually, because again, Edward Bizzardo used to be one of the worst guys in the pen with Taylor Saucedo. Remember Sauce? And then Bizzardo, ended up developing, and he was the best guy in the pen last year. So I'm not saying that Vargas is going to turn into Bizzardo, but there's a chance that Vargas, if he can stay healthy, might be not the worst guy in the pen, and he could be better than Legomina and maybe better than Gabe, or at least on the Gabe level. You never know. It really just depends if he can dial it back and he actually takes the advice, from Cal and Mitch Garver and, obviously the coaches. He's got potential. He's just really wild. But we know that he definitely lost a lot of games for us last year. There's no doubt about that. 1-2 pitch, pitches low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Rhys Hoskins. And we can't afford to cut Gabe Spire, unfortunately, but pitches inside. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour there by George Kirby. Count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Rhys Hoskins. Yeah, well, I've been a fan, Logan, since 85. So I got the gear. I go to the games. I watch every game beginning to end. I've been doing this for 14 years. This is my 10th year on YouTube. So again, there's going to be other YouTubers out there that will do baseball, for whatever reason, trying to go viral, trying to be famous, trying to make money, but again, I do a little bit of everything: baseball, basketball, football, hockey, NASCAR, but primarily it'll be Mariner baseball until we get to football season. Then we'll do a lot of NFL and college football. And then we fill in the gaps, with like NASCAR, NBA, and NHL in February while we're waiting for baseball to get going again. And pitches inside on that 3-2 count, and Hoskins is walked and goes to first. Now, kind of crazy that, a lot of us, have somewhat a little faith, in Vargas. But again, like I mentioned, when I watched Gabe in the WBC, he would get one out, give up a home run. 2 games later, he did it again and, got one out, when there was one out already, and got to out number 2, but then ended up giving up a home run. Then he goes to spring training after, the WBC ended. And what did he do? Get one out in spring training for the Mariners and give up a home run. So that's kind of the negative MO for Gabe. And then Gabe shit the bed yesterday. So if Gabe doesn't shit the bed yesterday, who knows? Maybe we win. So, but it definitely was a number of reasons why we weren't able to get it done. 5 out of the 9 hitters not being able to get a hit didn't help either. Cal, Julio, Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas were hitless, but Cole Young not hitless today, baby. 3-run blast, and now we're up 3-1. Love it. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees with the knuckle curve. 1 ball and 1 strike to CJ Kafis. Come on, George. 1-1 pitch. And check swing there by Kafis. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kirby to Kafis. Warrior, there's a number of reasons. The lack of relief depth and also the Brian Wu injury. If Brian Wu is healthy, I think we would have made the World Series. And, who knows? If Wu pitches 3 times in, 7 games, there's a pretty good chance he's going to win, 2 out of the 3, maybe even 3 out of 3, if he played the way that he did in the first half of the season that made him an all-star. But when you don't have access to your number 1 guy, kind of hard, when you go against a team that was as good as the Blue Jays in the ALCS. That was the reason. The bullpen wasn't good enough, but everyone's bullpen is ass for the most part. You usually have a couple guys that are good. You hope to have a great closer. We do, but then it's the other guys, the bullpen number 3, number 4, number 5. And a lot of times you end up losing games because those guys are just booty cheeks. 3-2 pitch popped up and out of play, but it's not like a Mariner problem. It's a fucking league problem. Everyone has a shitty bullpen. You might have a couple good guys, but again, if you got 10 guys in the pen and you only have 3 or 4 that you can trust, well, there's a lot of, wiggle room for shit to kind of hit the fan. And unfortunately, we know what that's about, but so does every other team. 3-2 pitch. And low and at the knees, and Kafis is walked. And now we got runners at first and second with no outs. George needs to settle down. We saw the same thing happen with Logan Gilbert, where you give up the early home run, obviously to DeLauder. Was very good, but then ended up kind of getting into a jam in the 5th. And that's kind of a natural thing for pitchers where, you want them to go 6 innings and then to exit. But sometimes in that 5th inning, people get tired. Right? People start to lose a little bit of that velocity and location. And sometimes you end up giving up a couple hits or a couple walks. And then you put your team in danger from, losing the lead or something worse. So we'll see if we can end up getting out of this jam. We haven't had a double play yet, but would be a great time for a mound visit. And just as we say that, Cal Raleigh comes up to George Kirby, as well as Woodworth, the obviously pitching coach, and hopefully we'll be able to get a punch out and a double play, or a double play and a punch out. And obviously when you got runners at first and second, there's a good opportunity for that to happen, or even if you have guys on the corners at first and third. Just a nice slow dribbler right up the middle, for a double play. And if we need a strikeout first, before we get the double play, we'll take that as well. No, so I've been watching since 85, but I'm going to be 44. I'm a Julio Rodriguez in May, so. Little slow dribbler towards third. Get that! No, throw to second, throw to first, and that is 1 away. Now we got runners at second and third with one out. Arias grounds out to third. Kafus still on board. Next up is Brian Rocchio. But the Mariners are my favorite team. Like I said, I live in Oregon, so obviously I like watching the Ducks and the Huskies, and, I like watching Northwest teams play and whatnot. But, by far the Mariners are my favorite team, and they have been since I was 3. And another thing for a lot of you that I'll show here in a moment that you may or may not know about me. First pitch is low and away with the knuckle curve by Kirby, who's implementing that a little bit more in his rotation this season. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch. Knuckle curve again, fouled behind the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike to Brian Rocchio. So here is me and Ken Griffey Jr. and my dad in 1989 when I'm 7. So when you end up meeting the greatest, left-handed pure hitter not on steroids, it changes your life forever. And again, a couple years after that, I ended up meeting Sandy Koufax. My dad was a guy that, lived in LA as well as in Oregon and Hawaii and a few other locations. So my dad has been a Dodger fan since the 50s. And so when you end up meeting arguably one of the best lefties ever in Sandy Koufax, and then you meet Ken Griffey Jr., when you're 7 and Koufax when you're 10, it changes your life forever. And obviously if I don't meet those two guys, at 7 and 10 years old, maybe I'm not here today. Rocchio fouls that one off, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kirby to Rocchio. I still got the Ken Griffey Jr. autograph. I'm incredibly lucky, also too with getting, baseballs at games. I've only been to like 9 games and I got 3 baseballs, so I got a Julio Rodriguez foul ball in his rookie year. I got an Aaron Judge ball in the year that he hit the, 62 home run season in 2022 as well. And predicted I would get a Judge ball on the channel, and I did, which is kind of crazy to say. And then my first ball was in 2019 when we played the Dodgers, and I got a Kike Hernandez foul ball. So, you have to be a honey badger, but you have to be off your phone. You can't be eating, and you can't be too drunk. You have to be able to watch the game. And if you can act quickly and you have a little bit of luck, sometimes you'll be able to get memorabilia like a ball. And when you get a ball, it changes your life. At least it did for me, and it definitely gives you that extra fandom that, a lot of fans, desperately want. Like my best friend, Justin, he used to live in LA and in Oregon. He's been to 50 games between the Mariners and Dodgers, and he's never gotten a ball. So that's definitely a goal of mine to be able to get one for him as well. First pitch to Stephen Kwan from George Kirby with bases loaded and 1 out. Takes a strike looking with the knuckle curve, low and away, 0-1 count. Yeah, Blazers for me, but I appreciate the Sonics. Obviously watched when Gary Payton, Detlef Schrempf, Sean Kemp, Xavier McDaniel, and, going through all of the players that played there in the 80s and 90s. Popped up, shallow left field. Get it, Randy. And Randy is there. Throw home, Randy. Get him. Get him. Yes. Great throw by Randy to Cal Raleigh, even though it was a little off. Rhys Hoskins ended up looking like Giancarlo Stanton, looked like a grandpa out there, walking into home from third, and a great defensive gem by Randy, which we normally don't say very often, right? And the throw wasn't the greatest, but Rhys Hoskins slow as shit. And Cal, even with the shitty throw, was able to make it home and getting George Kirby out of that jam. But yeah, I still got the Ken Griffey Jr. autograph. I still got the photos. That's going to be my, my hero is 2 people, my dad and Ken Griffey Jr. So, and, me and my dad, we still try to, go to games, when we can and whatnot. And again, if it wasn't for my dad, passing down that love, for baseball, maybe I'm not here today. So shout out to my dad, and hey, shout out to Ken Griffey Jr., my hero. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th, and let's see if we can add on a few more runs, and we'll do a quick recap as well. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th. Great job by Randy on defense. Did I actually say that? We know when ground balls go to him, he's a liability, but when it ends up being a pop-up, he can make that play, and Randy ends up saving us from this game going from 3-1 to 3-2 to 3-3 or maybe even 4-3. And again, I don't say it often, but great job, Randy Arosarena on defense on that last play. Next up for the Mariners in the bottom of the fifth, 0 for 1 with a base on ball, third baseman Brendan Donovan. 3-1 count in the first inning. He goes yard. Welcome to Seattle, Brendan Donovan. He's going to be the best leadoff hitter we've had since Ichiro Suzuki, and that is really saying something. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks. Didn't really get off to a very good start in the WBC. Has been struggling, but there's still time to get going. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K, the best center fielder in the game. It's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. So in the top of the first inning, DeLauder homer to right center in the front row, went off Luke Raley's glove, 1-0 Cleveland, and that gives him 3 home runs in the first 2 games. He had 2 yesterday, Chase DeLauder. And then just as you saw, in the bottom of the fourth inning, Cole Young homer to right center, 367 feet with Randy and Canzone on board, and 3-1, we take the lead. Thank God. Let him know, TJ. First pitch, low and away with a curveball, 81 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. 1-0 count. Bottom of the fifth inning, 3-1 Seattle. 1-0 pitch, high and inside with that cutter, 89 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams. 2 balls and no strikes to Brendan Donovan. Gavin Williams on the mound, Brendan Donovan in the box. And I think that's one thing that you don't really get on other broadcasts. I love to be able to put a name to a face. And again, it's one thing to be able to, stare at the host, throughout the whole game. But to be able to, kind of put a name to a face, especially if you're kind of unfamiliar with some of the players in the MLB, besides your favorite team, this is a great place to be able to, kind of put a name to a face and kind of take you a little bit deeper in a baseball broadcast than the norm on YouTube. And Donovan ends up going to first base. We'll take that. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. We've been getting a few walks, today. But again, we ended up having Donovan, being walked. And, he ended up trying to steal a bag and got thrown out. But let's see what we get here with Cal Raleigh in the box. First pitch from Gavin Williams, the big dumper. Cutter, 89 miles an hour. High and away, 0-1 count. Oh, bones. Love me some Jay Buhner. 0-1 pitch, low and away, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. 6 walks tonight for Gavin Williams, career high. But we need to take advantage of those walks and turn those into runs. 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Williams to Raleigh. Vapor with a 5er. Yeah, and a lot of people think, I'm in my, high 20s or mid 30s and whatnot. So, but I'm a little bit older than that. But I got the energy as a college kid. I got that energy and that swagger and that vibe. And again, the Mariner fan base deserves, to have that passion on the mic. 1-2 pitch, fouled off, low and away. Curveball, 82 miles an hour by Gavin Williams. And it looks like they got Colin Holderman warming up here in the pen for Cleveland. So we may see him at some point here in the bottom of the fifth. Vapor with a 5er. Appreciate you. Another $5 holla on the Dono train. We're at $15.85 to go. And we still got a few $100s to go to take my pup to the vet. So anything that can be done on Cash App, Venmo, or on the Super Chat. We ended up almost hitting 200 yesterday, which was great. And hopefully we'll be able to continue that grind to be able to help my pup out. One-two pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Cal Raleigh swinging, and that is 1 away. Timing for Cal has been off, and again, I feel like every swing for Cal in the WBC, as well as spring training and now in the regular season, is all home run swings. You need to kind of pump the brakes and go back to the basics and try to hit singles, and then the home run swings will eventually come. But if you keep pressing, it's going to be, how many games before you get your first hit, I don't want to see Cal, go 0 for 4, 0 for 5, in 3, 4, 5 consecutive games, because we don't want his mentals, to be affected.
because we're definitely going to need him, not only behind the plate, but we're going to need him in the box. Next up is Julio Rodriguez, 0 for 1 with a walk. First pitch is high and inside with that sinker, 96 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And that second pitch, big swing and a miss by Julio, high and inside, try to jam Julio. 94 mile an hour sinker, 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-1 pitch, Julio crushes that one in right field, out of play. Sinker, 95 miles an hour there by Gavin Williams, 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out, bottom of the 5th, 3-1 Mariners. I think another reason why it comes so natural for me on the mic, I did phone sales for like 20 plus years, for big companies. So I feel it's very natural, for me to be on the mic, being on the phones, talking to business owners, for like Verizon Business in New York and in Boston and, telemarketing type of jobs in my past. Not necessarily customer service or telemarketing. It's mostly sales. And that definitely gave me a little bit of an edge, I think, compared to a lot of others on YouTube. Next up is Josh Naylor. She is. First pitch to Josh Naylor, big swing and a miss, cutter, 94 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And it kind of feels like Cal, Julio, and Naylor are pressing a little bit. Those are the, 3 big notable names, but then you've also seen other guys be a little bit more loose, a little bit more carefree, and that's what we need. 0-1 pitch, and a hard hit ball towards first base, toe tap on the bag, and that is out number 3. And I think a lot of us were expecting, Cal and Julio and Naylor to be able to get a bunch of singles and doubles and home runs. But again, it's been the others. It's been Brandon Donovan, Luke Raley, Dominic Canzone, Cole Young. And that's a good thing. Eventually Cal, Julio, and Naylor are going to get going. And some of these other guys that have been hot early, Donovan, Dominic Canzone, Luke Raley, Cole Young, they may cool off slightly, but eventually we'll get everyone on the same page and we'll be really rolling. You just got to give it a little bit of time. End of the 5th inning, 3-1 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Let's see who's up next here in the top of the 6th. 1 for 2 with a run, RBI and a K. Right fielder Chase DeLauder. Solo dinger in the 1st inning on Kirby. And again, hopefully that'll be the only home run he gets. He had 2 last night, like the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting second, 0 for 2, third baseman, one of the best third basemen in this generation, most likely future Hall of Famer, Jose Ramirez. And batting third, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, DHing in the 4-hole, Kyle Manzardo. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. We're at 15, 85 to go, and 5 to 15 subs. And we've been doing really good on the subs in the first 2 days of the regular season. We've gained about 60 plus, and let's see how many more we've gained since the last commercial break. Looks like another 5. And now we only need 18 subs to get to 23,500. So if you are in the room and haven't hit that sub button yet, please do. Smash that like button if you could. And again, any type of dono or share, comment, anything that is positive regarding the channel is greatly appreciated. George Kirby, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 79 pitches, 50 strikes, 1.80 ERA. Gavin Williams, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 6 walks, a career high, 7 Ks, 89 pitches, 49 strikes, 5.40 ERA. Gavin Williams' day is done, and then we'll obviously see them hit the pen, obviously in the bottom of the 6th inning. Global broadcast here on Apple TV. 3-1 Mariners in the top of the 6th. DeLauder with a solo dinger, Cole Young with a 3-run blast. And again, we had 5 starters out of 9 went hitless. Cal, Julio, Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. And we've gotten a few of those guys going, but not everyone just yet. Cal, Julio, and Naylor still are hitless. And Cole Young and Rivas, ended up taking care of that. So everyone was so worried about the bottom of the order. Like, oh, Colt Emerson, we're going to need him immediately. And we do. But again, we are getting a little bit more production in the middle and bottom rather than at the top. Besides, obviously, Brendan Donovan, leadoff hitter, of course. 1-0 pitch to DeLauder. Little dribbler towards first base. Cole Young is there. Throw to Naylor, and that is one away. Down goes Chase DeLauder. Top of the sixth inning, 3-1 Seattle. Next up, third baseman in the 3-hole, 0 for 2, Jose Ramirez. First pitch, low and at the knees with the knuckle curve, 83 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Yeah, I'm not worried about Cal or Julio or Naylor. It's very early in the season. So, there was a troll and a hater, saying that they think the Mariners are going to go below 500. That's not going to happen this season. It sucked losing that first game, but again, even though our winning percentage on opening day is, top 5 in MLB, when you play a quality team like the Guardians in the first game, shit happens. It's not like we played the White Sox or the Marlins where we would have won by 10 fucking runs. So, it's good to be challenged early to really show what, the players have, right out of the gates. 1-2 pitch, slow dribbler up the middle. Throw to first, and that is 2 away. Good defense by the Mariners. Next up for George Kirby. 0 for 2 with 2 Ks in the 4-hole, Kyle Manzardo. Yeah, I'm going to do every game. There's no one that's more committed, to the Mariners, on YouTube than me. So I plan on doing 161 out of 162 games. And the only game I'm not going to do on the channel is the game that I'm going to go to on the 4th of July against the Blue Jays. And I'll do postseason play. So there's not very many people like us. There's, a few people out there, that do Yankees, a few people that do Blue Jays. I got my boy Valhalla that does the Dodgers, but there's not a lot of us compared to like NFL streamers where there's just a billion of them. But as far as like baseball streamers, there's not as many of us. But again, we definitely are going to give our all. 1-1 pitch, low and away with that changeup, 87 miles an hour by George Kirby. 2 balls and 1 strike to Kyle Manzardo. 2-1 pitch, and that ends up going towards first base and foul. Knuckle curve, 82 miles an hour by Kirby, and he's implementing that pitch a little bit more frequently than he did last year. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Global broadcast here on Apple TV. 2-2 pitch from Kirby. And that is strike 3 looking. Nice job there by George. Six innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 90 pitches, 57 strikes, 1.50 ERA, and only gave up the 1 home run early in the game, just like Logan Gilbert. Again, our pitchers are going to be lights out. We're still waiting on Bryce Miller for a month. So unfortunately, we're going to have Emerson Hancock. And I know this kind of sounds crazy, but again, I don't really trust Emerson Hancock. Bryce Miller, I like, but he's kind of injury prone. And I don't really believe a whole lot in Luis Castillo. I like La Piedra when he's good, but lately, if you look at his stat line statistically, he's been kind of going on a downward trend since we got him in 2022 when we made the playoffs. There are going to be games where he ends up getting 8, 9, 10 Ks and is electric. But again, for me personally, I want to see Ryan Sloan and Cade Anderson start with Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, and George Kirby. And I think once we get to that point and have Bryce Miller in the mix as well, we may have to wait a year, or 2 before we end up getting the superstar 1 through 5. But imagine, you have Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Cade Anderson giving us a dominant lefty, Ryan Sloan and Bryce Miller battling it out for that last spot as well. Once we end up getting that, when Castillo moves on, and then they can kind of, battle it out with Cade Anderson, Ryan Sloan, and Bryce Miller, adding with Wu, Gilbert, and Kirby, that's when we're going to be at the point where we might end up having the best starting lineup in baseball, 1 through 5. And again, if we didn't have injuries to 4 out of our 5 starters, the only guy that didn't get hurt was Luis Castillo last season, and we still ended up almost making the World Series. So again, Bryce Miller is banged up, J.P. Crawford and Miles Mastroboni banged up, as well as Carlos Vargas. Injuries happen, but again, hopefully we'll stay overall injury-free, and we'll be able to go on a deep run. And I'll be doing all the games, Jacob. And good game yesterday with your Guardians beating the Mariners yesterday. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th. Next up, 0 for 0 with a run and 2 walks, Randy Arosarena. On deck in the 6th hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third in the 7th hole, the Italian stallion DHing Dominic Canzone. And I believe that Dominic Canzone will be the best DH we've had since Edgar Martinez. Again, we normally get guys that are kind of slow, that have a big home run swing. Jared Vogelback, Mike Ford, Carlos Santana. So to be able to have kind of a skinnier, quality hitter finally in the DH, and we're not like searching for someone, it feels good to have Dom there. First pitch takes a strike looking to Randy Arosarena, and we got Holderman now in the game. Colin, I see you. Pitch is low and away. Sweeper, 86 miles an hour there by Colin Holderman. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arosarena. I don't do any, collabs, but if I were to collab, with someone, it would be, Valhalla, who does the Dodgers. Obviously, if I was going to collab with someone, I would want to be collabing with someone that's kind of on the same level, 20,000 subs or more, not to say that, there's other people that have less subs than that are probably good, but, I've worked really hard to get to this point, and, I would want someone kind of on that same type of level with hard work and time put in. Pitch is inside, and that ends up being a 5-pitch walk. Randy with 3 walks today. Unbelievable. Randy making his way to first. Next up in the 6th hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And another challenge by the Guardians, which is another epic fail. Golly, last season, I think I only missed 1 a month for, a chunk of the season because we were doing WWE PLEs. But then once they sold out with TKO and the quality of WWE has kind of gone downhill a little bit, we're not going to be doing that anymore. Obviously you have to have the ESPN package and whatnot. So, I love WWE and AEW and wrestling in general, but, I'm not going to pay $30 a month just for wrestling. So, plus I like doing the Mariners more anyway. So, but I would say, out of 162 games, I think we did, 150 to 155, somewhere in that range, and then playoffs on top of that. So, but I don't plan on missing a game a month to WWE pay-per-views or PLEs anymore. So. 1-1 pitch ends up going to first base, and Randy is safe. Bottom of the 6th inning, running at first, Randy Arosarena. 3-1 Mariners in the bottom of the 6th with no outs. Holderman on the mound, Luke Raley in the box. Let him know, Vapor. And Randy ends up scampering back to first base, and he is safe. I appreciate you. And Raley with the bunt attempt, and that ends up being foul. Sinker at 96 miles an hour. And I love small ball. I love the little intricacies of the game. Double plays, triple plays, bunting, things that you typically don't see often. And again, the Mariners didn't do enough bunting, but you could say that for every team in MLB. You have to have a guy that is comfortable bunting, and then you also have to have a guy that knows where to place the bunt, depending on if they're left or right-handed. And again, that's one of the first bunt attempts that we've seen early in the season that ends up going foul for Luke Raley. Colin Holderman there on the mound, Luke Raley in the box. And let him know, all it takes is just a second to hit that like button, and we should be able to, hit our goals, on the likes, and most of the time on the donos. It's just about a little bit of love and effort from the people watching all across the globe. Pitch is high and away, sinker, 97 miles an hour by Holderman. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. 2-2 pitch. Back. See ya! Luke Raley goes yard. Homered yesterday, homered today. And again, I said after he gave up the home run when it hit his glove, obviously there was an opportunity for a little bit of payback. Luke Raley does it again. And people were wondering, why is Luke Raley starting over Victor Robles? Well, I guess that's why. 5-1 Mariners. Let's go. Tridents up. Let's go M's. Way to bring the electricity, Luke Raley. Luke with a nuke. Tridents up. Let's go M's. And it shows you, if Julio and Cal and Josh Naylor start slow, we have a championship caliber team. We are contenders. We are not pretenders. And just imagine when those other guys get going. This shows you how deep this team truly is. Awesome job there by Luke Raley. In a game when we were down 1-0, halfway through the game, in the fourth, we were kind of like, okay, are we going to win this or are we going to start 0-2? Sometimes you just got to be a little patient. Unbelievable. Nice job there by Luke Raley. Love it, baby. 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Italian Stallion, let's go, baby. 1-2 pitch. And got a little bit of that, a little foul tip on that curveball, 82 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Holderman to Dominic Canzone. I got an American Staffordshire Terrier, so an American Staffy that's got a little bit of pity in it. So it's like 25% pity, 75% American Staffy. And she was sick yesterday, and I had to step away from the broadcast 2-3 times because she was sick. She woke me up early in the morning and was a little sick this morning, but it seems like she's getting better, obviously, today. Thank God. She is my world, just like you guys are as well. And Dominic Canzone with a little slow dribbler. Throw to first. And that is 1 away. I mean, and especially when you got guys like Victor Robles kind of waiting in the wings. You'll have Miles Mastroboni and J.P. Crawford in the next few weeks. And then we got an amazing player in Colt Emerson that will get called up sooner than later with Ryan Sloan and Kate Anderson. I mean, this team is legit. We are going to be one of the best teams in baseball, not only this year, not only last year, but who knows, for a number of years. And again, the future is very bright in Seattle. First pitch is high and away to Cole Young, who had a 3-run blast there in the bottom of the 4th inning to get us the lead. And I love seeing the bottom of the order do big things as well as the middle of the order. We're just waiting on Cal, Julio, and Naylor to get going. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Holderman to Cole Young. It's a Cole world, baby. .20 pitch, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Holderman. 3 balls and 1 strike. No, 3 balls and no strikes to Cole Young. 3-0 pitch, takes a strike right down the middle. There it is. Sinker, 95 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th. 5-1 Seattle lead. Tridents up. Let's go M's. 3-1 pitch, hard hit ball into left field. And that is 2 away. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2, shortstop Leo Rivas. Let's do it for Riz. I appreciate you. We got a lot of global viewership. A lot of people, all over the globe, the Philippines and Mexico, Canada, you name it, we're there. And again, it's not just the people in the United States that watch, which is great. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Pitch is fouled off, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. Philippines in the building. Oh, awesome. That's a lot of work. My dog was a little bit overweight, last year. And again, I got her down from 71 pounds to 57. And again, I walk 5 miles a day, 7 days a week. And I've done that, for 2 years. So I think we walked almost 1,700 miles last year. And again, that's what, 35, miles in a week, 70 in 2, 140 a month. And I do about 3 walks a day, morning, afternoon, and obviously after the stream ends, late at night. I like to be able to kind of be out there, just me and her, and, we don't have to worry about people or other dogs. And it's, something that I really, truly cherish. Pitch is low and into the dirt there. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Holderman to Leo Rivas. But the 2 most important things in my life, obviously are my pup, my Paisley pup, who's 4.5 now. A lot of you that have been regulars on the channel saw, when I got her when she was a baby, 6-8 weeks old. And then obviously you guys in the channel. I've been doing this for 14 years. This is my 10th year on YouTube, and I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So, and again, I can only do that based off the great support that we are getting, on the daily, and that is you. Whether you're in the United States, in the Philippines, or somewhere else, I appreciate every single one of y'all. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Leo Rivas. Pitch is low and into the dirt, goes behind the catcher there, Bo Naylor. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Seattle up 5-1 with 2-run blast there by Luke Raley moments ago and a 3-run blast by Cole Young. Life is good. I wish we could have won yesterday, but again, I had a very good feeling about today. 3-2 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. Leo doesn't believe it, and that is the end of the 6th inning. Let's go to the top of the 7th. Mariners are up 5-1. Trident's up. Mariners challenge and lose that challenge. All right, we got 170 people in the room. We're at 95 likes. We only need 5 more to hit that 100. And once we hit the 100, it's going to be just easy breezy cover girl from that point moving forward. So if you are in the room and you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. Help us get over 100, and then we won't have to bring it up for the rest of the stream. And let's see how many subs we've acquired since the last commercial break. And it looks like we've gained another 2 more. Appreciate you. We've gained about 60 plus in the last 2 days. And now we only need 16 subs to get to 23,500. So if you haven't hit the like button or the sub button yet, please do. And if you need a quick recap, I'll give it to you. In the top of the 1st inning, Chase DeLauder hit a homer to right center, right over Luke Raley's glove in the front row, 360 feet. Cleveland goes up 1-0. DeLauder hit 2 home runs yesterday, and so that was a little discouraging early on in the 1st inning with George Kirby giving up an early home run like Logan Gilbert. But just be patient. And I said, good things will happen. And then we had to wait to the bottom of the 4th inning. Cole Young homering to right center, 367 feet with Randy and Canzone on board, 3-1 Mariners. And then just moments ago, in the bottom of the 6th, Luke Raley homered to right, 390 feet with Randy Arosarena on board, 5-1 Seattle. Next up for the Guardians in the 5-hole, catcher 0 for 2, Bo Naylor. On deck, first baseman in the 6-hole, Rhys Hoskins. And batting third in the 7-hole, left fielder C.J. Kafus. I got you, no problem. And again, since Root Sports no longer exists, people have to, try to find this channel if you have Xfinity or Comcast, or you pay for Mariners TV, $99.99 for the year if you're kind of on the go, or $20 a month. If you do the $19.99 plan, it will give you a free week trial. But this game is obviously on Apple TV Plus. If you have a T-Mobile phone, they will give you Apple TV for like $3 a month. It used to be free, but then Apple TV raised their prices. Everyone's greedy for money, and you do get Netflix and Hulu for free. Peacock obviously is going to have a broadcast on Sunday. And again, having so many games on so many different platforms is a little annoying. It's always about money, but one thing that will be steady and consistent will be the NWSF, the Northwest Sports Fanatics. So if you don't have the ability to be able to watch a game, or you don't want to pay the extra money for those other platforms, you can always watch it here, and will be just as entertaining, if not more, than the actual broadcast itself. Edward Bizzardo comes into the game. I love that. And we got a 1-2 count from Bizzardo to Bo Naylor. Let's go, Edward Bizzardo. 1-2 pitch. And that one is hit in left field, out of play. Top of the 7th inning, 5-1 Mariners. Edward Bizzardo enters the matchup for the Mariners. Bo Naylor in the box. 1-2 pitch, low and away. Sweeper, 82 miles an hour by Edward Bizzardo. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 7th inning, 5-1 Mariner lead. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. Pitch is low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bo Naylor. Now, if you have T-Mobile, you can get MLB TV for free, but unfortunately, they black out the Mariners. If you're like in Oregon and Washington, if you're living somewhere else, then you might be able to watch the Mariners if you're in a different state. For example, like with Roy in Nevada, you might be able to have T-Mobile and watch the Mariners there. But if you live in Oregon or Washington, unfortunately, they black out, the games. And, I usually get that free package to watch some of the other games, but unfortunately the Mariners are blacked out if you live in Oregon or Washington. And Bizzardo with the walk. Bo Naylor makes it to first. Next up is Rhys Hoskins. First pitch is inside with a sinker, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch. Takes a strike looking low and away. Sinker 94 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rhys Hoskins. The thing, Cindy, is if you have Xfinity, they do have a channel that you can watch that will replace the Root Sports depending on your package. So there are a few providers that you're able to watch if you're paying for like a cable. I don't think Dish has it, but I know Xfinity has a channel. And if you go to social media, there is some opportunities there. Hoskins pops up into right field. Luke Raley is there, and that is 1 away. There's a number of ways to watch, and it really just depends on how passionate you are and, how much you really want to watch the team and if you can afford it and whatnot. So, obviously it's not an ideal situation, but the time and age that we live in now, everything is on social media. Everything is about greed. Everything is about money. Everything is about being on different platforms. And, at some point, there's going to be a game on Hulu, a game on Netflix, a game on Disney Plus, a game on, all of these different apps that we have. And it's getting a little bit ridiculous, but that's just kind of the way that, things are now, unfortunately. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss by C.J. Kafus. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Bizzardo on the mound, Kafus in the box. You can also use a streaming link, but again, you'll be about 30 seconds to a minute behind, if you end up using a streaming link, and it may cut out at some point, but at least it gives you an option to watch if need be. Pops up, and Brendan Donovan is there, and that is 2 away. Vintage in the building. What's good? Do you have Xfinity, Cindy? If you check your package and click on your TV on channel 1261, 1261, it may be there depending on your package through Xfinity, Comcast. That's the new Mariner channel. So pitch is inside there by Edward Bizardo. Takes a strike looking with that sinker, 95 miles an hour, no balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Let's go Bizardo. 0-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking. But also considering, they're going to be on so many different platforms, Mariners TV, Apple TV today, Peacock on, obviously Sunday, the better that your baseball team is, the more they're going to showcase. Now, if the Mariners weren't good last year, we wouldn't be on Apple TV right now or on Peacock, obviously on Sunday. But the better that your team is, more people want to watch that team, nationally, globally. And again, it is definitely about money and greed, and it kind of stinks, in that regard. But, you will have a consistent space here, no matter what platform it's on. I have access to everything. And again, we'll be able to, show HD 4K photos. We got a great chat. And again, there's going to be only a few of us that do baseball full time. But I do believe we have one of the best channels on planet Earth, especially if you love baseball, especially the Mariners. And again, if you don't have access to the game, you'll be able to get everything that you'll get on the broadcast and more. So, come through if you want and join the party. Let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning and see who's up next here for Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up, 0 for 1 with 2 base on balls. Third baseman, Brendan Donovan. Batting second, big dumper, catcher Cal Raleigh. And batting third, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Gained 4 more subs since the last commercial break. Now we only need 12 subs to get to 23,500. We got 168 in the room. So we're making some ground. And for the people that are watching in the stream, did we hit 100 likes yet? We only needed 5, just a few minutes ago. So if there's someone in the room that can give us an update on where we're at, whether you're a mod or a regular or a newbie, it would be greatly appreciated. Mando in the building. What's good? Let him know, Vintage. First pitch is high and inside to Brendan Donovan, 1-0 count. And it's not like I can only do, the Mariners. I can do pretty much any team. I put a lot of time and energy watching film and reading, and going into every broadcast. I even look up pronunciation for every player, whether it be on our team or the opposing team, because, nothing is worse, when you end up getting an announcer that butchers a name and whatnot. So, I really go the extra mile for you guys and for myself. And again, for a lot of the people that are new, just talk to the people that are regular in the chat. They'll let you know what we're about here. 2-1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Slider 86 miles an hour to Brendan Donovan. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Yeah, love Riz on the radio. Big swing and a miss from Brendan Donovan, and that is 1 away. And the Mariners are one of those rare teams that actually have a good, television broadcast. And then they also have an amazing, and I say it again, amazing radio broadcast, commentator in Rick Riz. And again, we're going to dedicate every single game this season to Riz. He's been on the radio 40 plus years in our 50-year anniversary. And again, what would be sweeter to be able to acknowledge Dave Niehaus and Rick Riz and all of the passion that they brought, to the Seattle Mariners. And I want to be a little bit of that piece with that passion to be able to try to will this team to our very first World Series appearance, but not only getting to the World Series, playing the Dodgers and beating them. Again, I know a lot of people don't want to face obviously, that David and Goliath kind of story. But think about how sweet it would be if we played Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Kyle Tucker and went 7 games and beat them. The Blue Jays almost did it, but again, that's my dream, for us to be able to play a team like that. And even though that's my dad's team, nothing would be sweeter for Mariner fans on beating a team like that. And obviously the Dodgers are trying to go back to back to back. 1-2 pitch to Cal Raleigh. And that is low and away. Curveball, 83 miles an hour there by Pallet. 2 balls and 2 strikes to big dumper Cal Raleigh. Two-two pitch. And Cal chops it towards first base and foul. And you can definitely tell Cal's timing is off. It was off in the WBC. They were definitely jamming him inside, pitching him outside. And anytime he got a pitch down the middle, he crushed it, but it was foul. And then, his timing hasn't really been very good in spring training when he came back from the WBC. And you've seen the early struggles in these first 2 games. Almost every swing is a home run swing. And if he can just adjust just a little bit and go for some single swings, that could kind of get him going. Mando with a 5er. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you. Another $5 holla on the Dono train. But out of all the teams that I follow, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, NASCAR, whatever it may be, this is my favorite team, overall in all sports. And again, I'm going to give you guys everything that I got on every single broadcast. Bottom of the 7th inning, 5-1 Seattle. Nobody on with 1 out. 2-2 pitch to big dumper. And that is strike 3. Even though that pitch was outside, that should be challenged, but looks like we're not going to get Cal challenging that, even though he should have challenged 1 last night as well. And that is 2 away. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 with a base on ball and 2 Ks. It is the best center fielder in the game. It's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. First pitch is high and away. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 1-0 count. What provider do you have, Pat? Do you have Xfinity? Like, who is your satellite or cable provider? Do you have one? Well, this game is obviously on Apple TV Plus, but like, for example, Brian Woo's on the mound tomorrow. If you go to the MLB app and download it on your phone and then sign up for the $19.99 a month, they'll give you a 7-day free trial. So if you want to watch tomorrow's game for free and then you don't want to continue the $19.99 after a week, it'll at least give you a couple games that you can watch on the app. Yeah, just to give you a little heads up. So. One-two pitch to Julio. Pops it up. Should be a routine play here in foul territory for Cleveland, and that is out number 3. And again, Cal, Julio, Naylor haven't been going, the way that we thought. But think about all the others. Donovan and Dominic Canzone, I predicted would break out, before the season started here on the channel. They have. Surprisingly, Luke Raley looks fucking amazing. And then finally, we got Cole Young and Leo Rivas to get going. So really, the 3 most notable names, in the lineup, Raleigh, Julio, and Naylor, they haven't got going yet. But imagine when they do. And there is a chance, after, some of those guys get going, some of the others that were hot may cool off a little. But again, those guys will get, going at some point. It's just, I feel like those guys are, under a little bit more pressure. Some guys are loose. Brandon Donovan, he's loose. Luke Raley, nothing to lose. He probably thought Victor Robles was going to start in right field, but he won the job, right? Dominic Canzone, he didn't even play for fucking Team Italy. They didn't think he was good enough, and he's going to be one of the best DHs in the league. So just because, someone doesn't believe in you doesn't mean that you can't get going. If you believe in yourself and you put in the time and the effort and the energy, no matter what you do, you can end up showing people that you got it. Just like the Italian Stallion. And nice for Cole Young and Leo Rivas to be able to get going. Remember, we had 5 guys that went hitless yesterday. Cal, Julio, Naylor, Cole Young, and Leo Rivas. Cole Young had the 3-run blast. Leo ended up getting on base. We're still waiting, on our 3 most notable players. But again, even though guys in the beginning of the order may struggle a little bit, right now today, Donovan 0 for 2, Cal 0 for 4, Julio 0 for 3, Naylor 0 for 3, Randy 3 walks, right? And so everything has been on the bottom of the order. Dominic Canzone's 0 for 2 today, but Rayleigh, Cole Young, Leo Rivas getting it done, as well as George Kirby. And every day, that we play gives an opportunity for a different guy to step up, unless you're hot, like Brendan Donovan, Luke Rayleigh, and Dominic Canzone, where you may be able to continue to stay hot as we start the beginning of this season. Let's go to the top of the 8th inning and see who's up next here for the Guardians. Next up, second baseman in the 9-hole, Brian Rocchio. Batting second, center fielder, Stephen Kwan. And batting third, right fielder, Chase DeLauder. Mike in the building, what's good? I mean, it's one thing when Julio, Cal, and Naylor struggle, and if we're like 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 in the first 4 games, but again, give it some time. Those guys will get going. It's a long season, 162 games. Matt Brash in the game, and he is the number 2 after Bizzardo. Bizzardo did a great job, and now we got Matt Brash. First pitch in there for a strike looking, 0-1 count to Rocchio. 0-1 pitch, low and away, slider 87 miles an hour by Matt Brash. 1 ball and 1 strike to Brian Rocchio. One pitch, takes a strike looking low and away with that slider. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Matt Brash to Brian Rocchio. And a little blooper there. Wow! Oh, did Julio come down with it? That was really close. The announcer said that he didn't get it, but that looked like Julio did. That was a hell of an effort there. Anytime you have an athletic center fielder, we're challenging, baby. No fly zone. I see you, Julio. Let's look at the replay. Oh, it looked like he got it. He got it, baby. Julio got it, baby. I think the announcers were too quick. When you got a guy like Julio Rodriguez, the guy is super athletic, one of the most athletic center fielders in the game. And think about it. He's finished in top 7 in MVP voting every year since his rookie year, and he hasn't had a good first half of the year in his career yet. So if we can get him going, at some point, it's possible that he can go, 40-40, 40 home runs, 40 stolen bags, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bags, at some point in his career. And he may end up doing it more than once. But again, it's all about trying to get going, before the All-Star break. We know he's going to be one of the best players after. But one thing that is for damn sure, Julio's going to play great defense, in the first half of the season and in the second half. It's just the patience in the box and being selective on when to swing, and obviously in the first few years, he would swing at garbage. He would be off balance, and we would complain and we would bitch and we would moan. But one thing is for sure, the no-fly zone will come every single day. Nice job there by Julio. So JP out for a little bit, for a few weeks, obviously with Miles Mastrobuoni, Bryce Miller out for a month, and then they just sent Vargas obviously do the injured list. And obviously most people are like, good, Vargas stinks. But, the way that Gabe Spire and Casey Legomina have been, as well as a few others, Vargas actually has a chance to be a little bit better this season. If he kind of dials it back and has a little bit more control instead of just trying to throw his arm out of the socket. We know he can pitch 97 to 100, but a lot of times it's wild. If he can just dial it back, he could potentially be like the fourth best guy in the pen. It's going to be obviously Edward Bazardo 1, and then you got Matt Brash 2. I probably think Jose Ferrer will probably be 3. Maybe Vargas could be 4, and then Gabe Spire probably 5, and then everyone else. And then obviously we have one of the best closers in the game in Andres Munoz. Top of the 8th, 5-1, Mariner lead. And for a player that sometimes can't get going hitting-wise in the first half of the season, there's no one in baseball that I would want other than Julio Rodriguez at center. It's because he has so much potential that, a lot of times we get frustrated because, he is a guy, that if he could get going and be a little bit more consistent, could maybe potentially be, a Hall of Fame player one day. You could say the same thing for Cal Raleigh. It's too early, to say that these guys are going to be Hall of Fame yet, but, based on trajectory, and if they can stay healthy and continue to get better and better and better, there's a chance that Julio and Cal possibly could be Hall of Fame players one day. But they still got a long ways to go. Nice challenge there by the Mariners. And Julio Rodriguez with that big out. Next up is Steven Kwan. First pitch to Steven Kwan, takes a strike looking right down the middle. 97-mile-an-hour sinker to Kwan, 0-1 count. Matt Brash on the mound, Steven Kwan in the box. 0-1 pitch, high and away with that sinker. 1 ball and 1 strike to Steven Kwan. Global broadcast here on Apple TV. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Change up 91 miles an hour by Matt Brash. 2 balls and 1 strike to Steven Kwan. Popped up. Shallow right field. Oh, Luke misses it. Makes you kind of wonder if that was Victor Robles, he would have made that grab. We saw him dive, late last season and make an incredible grab. And we also know that Victor Robles can, jump a little bit better than Luke Raley. But right now, Luke Raley, obviously a little bit more dialed in hitting-wise, and that's why he's out there. But great effort by Luke there. I mean, again, if you had someone that was just slightly faster, and Victor Robles probably makes that catch. That was definitely a tough one for Luke, or anybody for that matter. And if you would have just let Julio go full speed, maybe Julio would have been able to get to it. But you don't want to have a collision like we saw with the Mariners and the Blue Jays in the playoffs a few years back. 1-0 pitch to Chase DeLauder, fouled off high and away with a sinker. 97 miles an hour by Matt Brash. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the 8th inning, 5-1 Mariner lead. Trident's up. Let's go M's. One pitch, big swing and a miss by Chase DeLauder. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Brash to DeLauder. Let's go, Matt. Dial it in, baby. One-two pitch, low and away. Change up 90 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the 8th, 5-1 Seattle lead. 2-2 pitch. And a little line drive to right. And Luke Raley down to a knee. There you go. Nice job by Luke. And that is 2 away. Next up for the Guardians, 0 for 3, third baseman Jose Ramirez. First pitch is low and away. Slider, 87 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Yeah, but if you had a choice between Quan, or Brendan Donovan, I think most people would have gone with Donovan. Donovan ended up winning Rookie of the Year in the National League when Julio won it in the American League in 2022. Was an all-star for the Cardinals last year. And again, you get offense, you get defense, you get home run power more than Quan, and you get a guy that can hit singles, doubles, triples. So, Quan is a good player, but Brendan Donovan, in my opinion, is better. Pitch is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jose Ramirez. Popped up and shallow center field. Julio is there, and that is out number 3. Paisley came in here. She said, "I miss you, Dad." She wants to check in on the Mariner game. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning and see who's up next for Seattle. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 3 in the cleanup spot. First baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor, 0 for 3. Let's make it 1 for 4. Batting second, 0 for 0, 2 runs and 3 walks, and actually has made some plays in left field, believe it or not, Randy Arozarena. And batting third, 1 for 3, a run, 2 RBIs and a K. Has a home run yesterday and a home run today. It is Luke Raley. Shout out to all the people that ended up smashing that like button when we were at 95. We're at 124. Can we get 26 more likes out of the 154 people in the room to hit 150? That would be a great number. Dono Train right now is a little bit lighter. We almost hit 200 yesterday. We were at like 186 to 190. We're at 20 today. We got a shout out to Vapor with a 10er, Vapor with a 5er, and Mando with a 5er. So we're at 20 so far. And as far as I know, let's see. And it looks like we have, Vapor with a 50. As I say, there might be something on the Venmo or the Cash App. Appreciate you, Vapor. I just noticed that. And shout out to Vapor with another $50 holla on the Dono Train, which definitely will help because I need to take care of my pup with the vet. And obviously, as anyone knows, if you have a cat or a dog and you end up going to the vet for an emergency surgery or just a annual once-a-year visit, it's usually $300-400, and it's $440. And we've been able to get some of that so far, and a line drive into right field by Josh Naylor, and he is out, and that is 1 away. But shout out to Vapor with a 10er, Vapor with a 5er, Mando with a 5er, and then another 50 by Vapor. So that puts us at 50, 60. We're at 70, 30 to go to hit the Dono goal tonight. And it really does mean a lot, whether it be on the Super Chat, on the Cash App, or the Venmo, just so that way that I can take care of my pup, pay the basic stuff, internet bill, streaming fee, and the vet bill. Line drive into center field by Randy Arozarena, and that is 2 away. Quick 2 outs there by Naylor and by Arozarena. Be a little bit more patient, my guys. Next up, 1 for 3 with a run, 2 RBIs and a K. Right fielder, Luke Raley. Let's go for a nuke, Luke Raley. Get a nuke, Luke. I did. I just got it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your generosity. And we got Velasco with a $25 dono and Roy with a $5, and that puts us at the goal. And then now anything above that will be above 100. Line drive up the middle, throw to first, and that is a quick inning there for the Mariners. But we're up by 4 runs, so we're good. End of the 8th inning, 5-1 Mariners. Shout out to Roy. Shout out to Vapor. And shout out to Velasco. It's always good, when you can end up hitting, the goals, whether, because again, if you have 2, 3, 4, 500 people, in the stream, you should be able to get to at least a minimum, of 100 likes. And then if you can end up hitting the, $100 dono goal, obviously the next goal would be 200 likes and 200 on the dono train. But, it just kind of depends on who's available and if they're willing to be able to support, what we got going here in the NWSF. And, whether it be someone commenting, liking the channel, subbing to the channel, sharing the channel, commenting, donating, whatever it may be, it all comes together, and I appreciate you guys very much. Puppet with a $5, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's go to the top of the 9th inning and see who's up next here for the Guardians. Next up, 0 for 3 with 3 Ks, DHing in the 4-hole, Kyle Manzardo. Batting second in the 5-hole, catcher Bo Naylor. And batting third in the 6-hole, first baseman Reese Hoskins. But again, it does mean a lot, and if you really listen to this broadcast compared to anybody else on YouTube, whether it also be on TV or on radio, people have to realize, not only am I, calling the game, I have to produce the show on the fly. I have to make sure I'm watching the game, watching the chat. I have to, also go through the music. And so for one person to be able to do a job of like 3 different people, it's tough. You have to be very, very quick. And again, you have to be able to enunciate. You have to be able to pronounce things correctly. But again, luckily, we have some of the best fans on planet Earth. And I really do appreciate you guys very, very much. I mean, there's a reason why, there's a lot of other baseball streamers that don't do what I do here because it's fucking hard. It definitely takes a certain type of skill set, but luckily we have some of the best fans on planet Earth that will push me to be able to make sure I have a great broadcast, not only for myself, but for you guys as well. Andres Munoz comes into the game, first pitch, popped up and fading out of play. Great to see Andres Munoz get a chance to come in and, get some action here in the top of the 9th. Andres Munoz on the mound. Kyle Manzardo in the box. And it's flattering when people say, hey, you could do TV, you could do radio. And I know sometimes when people say that, they're just saying it to say it, but again, I honestly feel that I am one of those, few individuals that if I did get a chance to do something on TV or radio, I think I could do a good job. But again, to be able to make a name for myself on YouTube really was always the goal. And if other opportunities down the road become available, then we will see how that plays out. But I'm completely fine. I'm being able to be the guy on YouTube representing the Seattle Mariners for not only myself, but for y'all. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kyle Manzardo. My pup's name is Paisley. She was in here, but she just walked behind the stream there on the green screen, and I think she went to go lay down on the couch there on the bed. So top of the 9th inning, 5-1 Mariners. 2-2 pitch from Munoz to Manzardo. Big swing and a miss. And Cal throws it to first, and that is 1 away. Next up, 0 for 2 with a base on ball, catcher Bo Naylor. But this is my full-time job. I don't have, any other jobs besides this one. But when I was first starting the channel, I had like 2-3 jobs. I had 1 or 2 jobs that were regular, and then I was doing the channel. But luckily, I've been blessed enough to be able to, be full-time for the last 3 or 4 years. A little blooper into left field there by Bo Naylor. And normally Randy is incredibly lazy there in left, but, ends up getting to that ball in an average amount of time. And Bo Naylor with a nice single to Randy Arosarena with 1 out. Next up, for the Guardians, 0 for 2 with a base on ball and a K, first baseman Rhys Hoskins. Shout out to every single individual that's watching this game all across the globe. Whether you end up liking, chatting, sharing, donating, commenting, subbing, it all comes together. And I appreciate every single one of you, regardless if you're a Mariner fan, a Guardian fan, or just an MLB fan or a fan of myself or the channel. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. Hoskins has to dodge out of the way. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rhys Hoskins. Top of the 9th inning, 5-1 Mariner lead with a runner at first and 1 out. And we're trying to get our first victory here in 2026. Appreciate you, Velasco. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Mariners up 5-1. Munoz on the mound, Rhys Hoskins in the box. I appreciate that. Two 2-1 pitch. Takes a strike looking right down the middle. Slider 87 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. And I think I know some streamers get a little lazy, but I take a lot of pride on trying to be able to get out as much, information, on every single stream. And yeah, do I get winded? Do I get tired, after a game? Yeah, but I think it's worth it, because you want to be able to know, where the pitch is. You want to know what type of pitch. You want to be able to know the score. You want to know, who's on base. And, again, I think that really separates, what we do here compared to a lot of the others that are out there. You put in the effort, people will notice. 2-2 pitch. Check swing, low and away. Slider, 86 miles an hour there by Andres Munoz. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Mariners up 5-1 on a global broadcast here on Apple TV. Three-two pitch. And chops it towards first base and foul. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Wish we would have been able to get the dub last night, but this one feels really good. Cole Young, 3-run blast. Luke Raley, 2-run blast. We're still waiting on Cal and Julio and Naylor, and trust me, they will get going. We got Brian Wu on the bump tomorrow, and I can't wait. And that is strike 3 looking. Woo! Nice job there by Andres Munoz. And that is 2 away. Great job, Andres Munoz, bringing that electricity, baby. Next up is C.J. Kafus. And we got a fielder's indifference, Naylor to second. Pitches low and away. Big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike to C.J. Kafus. Let's go, baby. 1-1 pitch. Slow dribbler up the middle. Throw to first. And that's ball game, baby. This definitely makes up for that loss yesterday. And again, still had a lot of people. We'll go over a quick breakdown before I end the stream to kind of go over the numbers. But great job there by Andres Munoz coming in. And think about it. We won 5-1 today, right? Brandon Donovan, 0 for 2, even though he did have a home run in game 1 on a 3-1 count. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 4. Julio Rodriguez, 0 for 3. Josh Naylor 0 for 4. Randy 0 for 1, but he had a few walks, right? So if you think about that, and then on top of that, Dominic Canzone 0 for 2. So if I would have said that, no one would believe that all of those guys didn't get a hit today, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, right? We had 5 guys yesterday that didn't get a hit. We lost. Today we had 6 guys without a hit, right? But again, what did we get? Luke Raley 1 for 4, and that one hit, a big bomb, right? So we end up getting a 2-run blast out of the one hit. He goes 1 for 4, but he made it count, right? Cole Young goes 1 for 3 after not getting a hit yesterday. But what was that one hit? A 3-run blast. He made it worth it. And then Leo Rivas ended up not getting a hit yesterday. He goes 1 for 3. Didn't get a home run. But again, sometimes it's going to be the guys you least expect to be able to come through and get a victory for the Mariners. So again, Donovan 0 for 2, Cal 0 for 4, Julio 0 for 3, Naylor 0 for 4, Randy 0 for 1, but he did have 2 or 3 walks. Rayleigh 1 for 4, Canzone 0 for 2, Cole Young 1 for 3, Leo 1 for 3. So we didn't even have one guy get 2 hits, and we still ended up winning by 4 runs. So it definitely shows you, once we end up getting JP Crawford back, Miles Mastrobuoni back, Carlos Vargas back, Bryce Miller back, and we call up Colt Emerson, Ryan Sloan, and Kate Anderson, we are a dangerous, dangerous team. Final score, Mariners 5, Guardians 1. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. I appreciate that. Love you guys and I appreciate you guys. And again, shout out to Vapor. Shout out to Vapor. Shout out to Mando. Shout out to Roy. Shout out to Puppet. Shout out to Velasco, as well as Vapor again on a few of the other donos that we got, through Cash App and Venmo and whatnot. So we ended up hitting our goal for likes. We ended up hitting our goal on the dono train. We did it 2 days in a row in the first 2 games. And again, I have everyone to be able to give love to and credit to. I got some of the best fans on planet Earth. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And again, I will be live tomorrow, obviously, with Brian Wu on the bump. And let's take a quick look here. And you don't have to worry about the game being on Apple TV, but we do have a game on Sunday that will be on Peacock, which is a little annoying, but, I will be able to call the game and, don't you worry, it'll be just fine. So let's see. Tomorrow's game will be at 6:40 Pacific on MLB TV, and we got Brian Wu on the bump. And again, we know that Brian Wu could have been the opening day starter, was the #1 pitcher for us last season, and I can't fucking wait for Brian Wu to get it done. So love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Final score, Mariners 5, Guardians 1. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Tridents up. Mariners get the first victory of the season. And let's get another one with Brian. Woo! Love you guys, and I am out. Gang.